Everybody got my message about me anyway?
Yeah.
I think they're going
Just looking good, though.
to.
Is it COVID?
I came in, he's like, were you sick last week? And I'm like, I did.
Is this,
I have a better immune system.
supposed to be April 11th?
The minutes?
Yeah, because it says April 1st here and April 11th here.
Oh, right, it's the 11th, fix it. And then we'll hit record.
Well, it's,
Are you ready? I have 6:59.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Corporate Services meeting. You were. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Corporate Service meeting. Call to order. Moved by Corbett, second by Featherstone, that the corporate service meeting be opened at 7 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Clark, second by Corbett, that the agenda for the corporate service meeting for May 2nd, 2024 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried.
What's supposed to go in that one?
Supposed to come for this one.
It's okay. I don't worry.
Sorry, Chair. No problem. Good job. Very disclosure of pecuniary interests, seeing none. Presentation delegations. None. Staff report.
Well, tonight we're here to discuss what the council would like to see in a bylaw or no bylaw, or what the advantages, disadvantages of permitting trailers on vacant lands, as well as short-term rental discussion. It's more of a discussion forum so that in the future, the council has the education to make the decisions that they wish to make, as well as to brainstorm as to what council would like to see in the bylaw without having staff write bylaw after bylaw and amending them. It would provide better direction for the staff. I think we'll start with trailers. I provided the committee with 3 bylaws to look at. I try to keep them in Northern Ontario because it's more indicative of the community that we live in. But as you can see, we all kind of piggyback off of each other's bylaws. And we do kind of sit back and watch what works or doesn't work for other municipalities. And we did have the one bylaw in here from the Township of Nipissing, which was taken to the tribunal. And it was found that the council of that bylaw was not against any legislation, and that everything in that bylaw can be enforced. Keeping in mind that we do want to maintain our 3 points for the short-term rentals as well as trailers for responsible ownership, maintaining the character of our neighborhoods, and ensuring the health and safety of people that are living in trailers, whether it be the short-term rental, the occupier, and the renter, as well as the neighbors as well, for both items. Dive into the trailers.
Yeah, we'll start with the trailers.
We're using a whiteboard this evening so that we can collect our thoughts and keep them all together, and then I'll take care of that tomorrow morning and bring that information into something else that we can present.
So just so we're all on the clear baseline, currently there are no trailers allowed on vacant property within the municipality.
None. And we also do not permit mobile homes. if anyone gets confused with the term trailer.
So option one would be no change to a bylaw.
Right.
Option two would be to change that bylaw to allow trailers. I guess everywhere, and then option three would be to regulate and to limit trailers if we're looking to allow trailers anywhere. What does that look like? Where and what parameters, right?
Right. Steps too.
I know,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
And then three is permit
With rules or.
with limitations and limitations.
So the only thing that I've got from people on the profile messages is that currently it's been no trailers for a long time and we can't even control that. So how are we going to control anything more complicated moving forward?
I think that, now currently we do have bylaw enforcement. Quite a few of the bylaws are very simple. I find, like it's, where do they permit them? Where don't they permit them? Setbacks, septic requirement.
Yeah, and I mean, to Councilor Featherstone's point. The simplest is say no trailers, like if we're gonna talk about simple to enforce, it should be no trailers, and yet we find ourselves in trailers, right? So. I mean, that's the point of easy to enforce is kind of moot when the easiest option
Right.
isn't enforced appropriately. So clearly, as part of this, if we're looking to change that, well, whatever is decided through council. Like there has to be an enforcement plan to go along with that, right? So that council isn't just cut off at the knees by setting where we would like to go, and then there's no follow-up, right? So. Or else we've become pretty ineffective as a council.
I just think that we set realistic rules, we can enforce them.
Another thing about enforcement is because we only have one bylaw that just is absolutely no. Then the only recourse in enforcement we have is the bylaw officer to go give orders, have it removed. It's a very lengthy process. If you have a bylaw that is regulated, because we have to go to court currently, that's how we get it removed. If you have a bylaw that regulates certain parameters and if they fall outside of those parameters, you can apply penalties. So you can get enforcement much faster than it can take 3 years through the court system, or we could do a administrative penalty. And it's if your trailer doesn't meet, or if you've added a building, it's $300, it's this. And that kind of tends to make people follow the rules. So that enforcement piece does become simpler when it's regulated, when it's in there.
So, for an example, is if we were to say there are no trailers on any waterfront property, any property that has any frontage on water, no trailers. We would be able to put a fine in place to say that if there is a trailer on a vacant piece of property, you would have a $10,000 a year fine. That, or whatever the fine is, and then so just if I walk this through so I'm clear. That fine, if it goes unpaid, goes on to their property taxes. Property taxes will either be paid or not paid. If not paid, the recourse is we actually just take that piece of property from the municipal perspective.
That's it, yes.
Right.
So are we talking, if they don't, so if they get fined, we still gotta move it. Like within a
And if they
certain
don't,
timeline.
a fine again, and then that's why the fine should be steep enough that if, depends on how serious we are, but obviously. That if they don't pay it, then it goes on to their taxes, and if they don't pay that, then the recourse is they lose their property, right? So.
So what's that?
Also, if it wasn't permitted, they wouldn't be able to get a license.
Right, so
Right.
it's illegal.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's it, yeah, absolutely.
So what's that look like to people that have had a trailer on the lake for 20 years?
So there's no such thing as legal non-compliance when they were illegal to begin with,
Right.
so.
How many do you think we're looking? I mean, I know the big thing was always like that. Are we talking 1 or 2 or are we talking 100?
I wouldn't say 100. I would say you're probably 20.
we haven't done an inventory and went out on the lake and done an
Like,
inventory.
yeah, on the lake.
But the ones that we are aware of,
And I mean, we can see them
yeah,
when you go on the lake.
yes.
So.
Well, some you can, some you can't.
Well, if we're talking about zoning, like would there be no waterfront, no hamlet, rural, no industrial, no commercial zoning?
I think kind of that's where people are leaning, no waterfront and no hamlet.
And I would have to add actually all the subdivision agreements that are in place in the township. No, that-
Correct.
and those are legal.
Even if you
Binding
have
agreement.
a dwelling,
The subdivision agreements, there's a number of them right now that just say no
No
trailers, not even.
Regardless, yeah.
yeah, but I mean,
And that
like,
will be-
people are just parking their trailers, like, they're not using it, so they park at the store at their house, there's no trailers.
Well, they're allowed to store them,
Okay,
but there's no trailer permitted.
For use.
for use,
At
yeah,
in a
okay,
subdivision. And those are legal agreements,
Yeah.
like
yeah,
back to 1978, believe it or not.
Mhm.
no,
Well,
and
that
I,
would
No
supersede,
privilege.
that supersedes anything that we do.
Right, I
And
would
that's-
think so, or you could mention it in the bylaw if that's the direction council should go with.
So, yeah, I think, what I have heard is no waterfront, like that's, I've gotten lots of that feedback. No hamlet. And in rural zones, there should be a setback off property boundary lines is there, and I mean, we can talk about what that looks like, so.
and why,
Whatever.
why don't we just make it easy and stick with what, dwelling setbacks
Sure,
are?
yeah,
We do have setbacks in our zone.
Yeah.
Sure, the dwelling, well, trailers are kind of no different, shouldn't be no different.
We also discussed, like the permitting of outhouses with class 1 sewage systems. So if that was to become in the bylaw, perhaps we would have to set a setback for that. And a provision as to where it would be within the
But
property.
can we do that? Because Mattawa doesn't set anything on it, like, there's no.
Mattawa Conservation actually has an information sheet on class 1 sewages.
Right, but-
Systems and how they could be built. How we could enforce that is still up for discussion.
yeah, I mean, I think you're on a slippery slope on that one.
It's an option. So,
Yeah.
I mean, some of the bylaws do allow outhouses, some or class ones.
Class 1 sewage system.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
class one's
some-
an average, right?
Yes. And some do require that you're hooked up to a proper septic. So the concerns with the waste come into the septic and the gray water. It's not just the septic, it's gray water. So what are you doing with these dishwasher?
Right.
If you are having a shower, what are you doing with that water?
I mean, because then they make, you can do a gray water pit.
Yes, but you still need a permit from North Bay Mattawa Conservation.
Right,
Yes,
but as a class 1, you don't, and
Right.
so there's kind of two
but a
separate
class
things.
1 is not allowed to receive gray water.
No,
Right.
no, so you'd have to have a pit and a class 1.
Mhm.
Can I be reminded what the setbacks are for properties in rural areas? Off the top of that?
Yeah, you can get
Good thinking.
it.
I can look it up.
You can get it. Sorry.
Zoning that the public. And 10 meters.
And then like.
Yeah, in your trailer.
32.
No, you're.
So trailer, you get more than
And
And then would we have
So everything-
additional setbacks, so if you're gonna have a class
So you
one?
could go that option too.
In the rear.
Or anywhere, like it should be
Now,
setback
yes.
off of your property lines even more, and quite frankly, that's just being a good neighbor, so that's like.
How wide do I want it?
I don't really want somebody's class 1 30 feet from my property line, right? That's not.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe we want to consider the lot sizes. If you have 100 acres, it's very different than if you have 2.5.
Right, absolutely.
So is there, yeah. Guys are we doing a minimum lot, minimum size?
Of a hectare or I guess it's in rural areas, so I mean, they're lots of typically bigger.
Typically rural's typically 2 class 8.
Yeah.
Well, in our municipality, so at 2.5 acres
Yeah.
is the minimum amount
Right,
that can be purchased or salary charge.
so instantly, the minimum would be a 2.5 acre lot regardless of. As long as soon as you're into.
The conservation guidelines are 30 meters from any water.
Right.
Right.
I think, for the sake of this bylaw, I know that it's, currently, anything less than 2.5 acres can't be settled further, but we should reiterate that if that's what we want for trailers. in case that ever changes where it can go to a acre,
Correct.
then at least this would prescribe the 2.5 for the trailer standpoint, and that's. No, that's.
So setbacks on a property, just so if I go with open space, which would be, because it's vacant land.
Right.
So, it is a 10-meter front yard, and an 8-meter side yard and a 10-meter rear yard.
And if they're permitted on waterfront. The front yard's the lake, the rear yard's the roadside.
Right.
Right.
I mean, those are reasonable setbacks, especially on a 2.5 acre lot.
The residential limited services, which is mostly on waterfront properties, they have the same front yard and rear yard, but their side yards are only 6 meters.
So 6 meters from the side of their property?
Yeah.
Well, that's where your neighbor's gonna be.
Yeah, and so open space is 8 meters.
Or smaller lot sizes tend to be in the hamlet and on the waterfront development. In the unmaintained portions, those are mostly subdivisions, actually.
I think. From my perspective, I like that. I understand from a house perspective, but is that what we want for trailers, or because it's gonna be on a minimum of 2.5 acres, or what is that, that's accurate, right? 2.5 acres?
Yeah.
Like, do we need it to be 10 meters from the road? Which is basically their property line, or should we be asking them to be pushing it back a little further?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's only 30 feet from the road.
Right,
So, yeah, push it back.
like I think, and for like,
And most people that have a trailer don't want to be 30 feet from the road.
I wouldn't think.
Yeah, they don't want this.
I think people care more about east to west than.
I think it's, yeah, I think where the biggest sticking point would be your side lots to your neighbors, right?
Yeah, so. What are you
It has to be
suggesting, like not too
100
close to the side?
To your.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, 30 meters, do it like the lake, 30 meters away from the road.
yeah, 30 meters away. Well,
That's 100 feet.
is it reasonable to say it's 30 meters minimum from any of your property lines? So you'd be from your side, you're gonna be 30 meters this way, from that side, you're gonna be 30 meters this way, 2.5 acres, you got tons of space, like.
Except
However,
for frontage is only
60,
16 meters.
right,
Except for at 30 and 30, there'd be no room.
the road
For
frontage
2.5
requirement 60
acres?
meters, right?
Yeah, because it can be narrower and
Long,
longer, right?
yeah.
Right.
Our minimum frontage is 60 meters.
So
You
then
could
is
go
that
20.
20
or
meters.
15.
But it's about the frontage, right?
Right.
Not really about the side.
But then is,
No, no,
I would just
no.
ask, is that the right piece of property to have a trailer on them? Because if you got a neighbor that close.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so if they're not within the specifications, then they don't qualify. That's
Yeah,
what
no,
qualify.
but yeah.
So, and so not on waterfront, not in the hamlets, subdivision specific, and then rural is what we're talking about now, right? Just setbacks, lot size, that's rural, right?
Yeah,
Their responsible ownership, are we looking at like people that have salted their trailers, that are adding decks that have hooked it up to their grids, hooking it up to electrical? Are we doing inspections to make sure that it's safe?
like,
that kind of stuff?
the bylaws do, all 3 of them do talk to, sizes of the deck that's permitted. It cannot be attached to the trailer itself. And also with the Assessment Act, we also don't want to encourage it to be to the point that it's an accessible trailer.
right,
So like in the Assessment Act, it says like if it's hooked right into power, if it's not mobile, if it's on a platform, if there's things attached.
If there's a sunroom.
But I mean,
porch.
right. And most people with trailers have a board built for their power box, for their power to get in, they just plug into that. They're not hooked directly. And we have no say over the electrical because it's governed by some, not by our building, not by our building
Right,
inspector.
electrical.
Yeah. So I mean, if they bring in hydro in, it's already been all inspected.
It's
They're just
probably
plugging the
actually
trailer in.
far better for them to have electrical than trying to run a generator.
Generator, because that's what irritates the neighbors.
Right?
There's some pretty
Right,
wide
right,
ones
just
though,
wire.
like little Honda
Hey,
jackets.
the
Yeah,
inverter
they're
is
really
more
handy.
like
people have a small house, which is hooked up and
Yeah,
it's
off
off grid. And then they doctor it and run a line
Yeah, but you
to their
can't,
trailer.
yeah.
And
But even in speaking with our previous CBO. Even if you have generator hooked up into a dwelling, it still has to be inspected.
Mhm.
By an electrician, electrical inspection. And keeping with the theme of buildings, like in Nipissing, they say that you're not allowed to. Have anything that exceeds 15 square meters as a deck. When you think about that in feet, that's pretty big, it's 24 by 24 feet. And then another, that's a pretty big
Yeah,
deck, others have gone down to 10 meters squared. We discussed today perhaps only the width of the trailer that you have and so many feet beyond that.
The length of the trailer, you can have it in the full length, but maybe only as wide as your trailer. Because a trailer, once it's above 8.6 feet, it becomes an assessed trailer, which we don't, for wide, yeah. So we don't want, those
Yeah.
trailers, those sizes have to be
right.
I
specified.
mean,
Well,
I wouldn't
limit
go
those,
rating,
Right.
I mean, I think 10 feet wide.
Is it the trailer owner that doesn't want the assessment or the municipality? Because from a municipal perspective.
Well, we
if they
don't
build
want
something that ends
mobile
up, I know, we don't want, but I'm like, if it ends up getting assessed,
Yeah,
we're just making more money as a municipality. So we would
Yes.
want to help protect a homeowner or a trailer owner from stumbling
Becoming
into that
assessed.
and then all of a sudden,
Right.
like, just to be fair, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
make this a money grab,
Yeah.
so.
So if you got a 40-foot trailer, we're gonna allow a 40 by 10 deck.
Right. Or we're just
Yeah.
putting
But
it out there.
Yeah, yeah,
40
no,
by 10 trailer would be assessed, right? Did you say anything over 8 point?
No,
It's the
6
width,
feet wide trailer.
it's only the width, it doesn't matter how long it is, the
Oh.
assessment is only at 8.6 wide.
And that won't include the
8.6
bump
feet.
outs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's at 10 feet,
I know, but 8-foot deck.
Yeah.
Pretty narrow.
I think
Yeah.
it could include bump outs, so if the trailer has
Yeah,
a
we-
bump out on each side, like it's 8 feet plus. Probably 2-foot bump out, a 2-foot bump out, you're at 12 feet probably,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, cause ultimately you wanna have a deck to sit
Yeah,
on.
you
Yeah.
and a tiny, like you want a table and chair set, so you can
Right.
eat dinner and stuff.
I mean-
And we also discussed, some bylaws do not permit any accessory buildings. However, in discussion, thinking about if you have a lawnmower to keep your property nice. Perhaps like we could have a regulation that would say what size of shed you're permitted to have on the property.
How big of a shed is it
10 by
with
10.
floor?
10 by 16 you're allowed now under building code. How many?
Without,
One.
Within a permit,
without a permit?
Without a
Up to 10 by
permit.
16?
as
Yes.
long as it's for storage only, so
Yeah.
you can't have plumbing, you can't have electricity, it is strictly
Strictly storage
storage.
You can have a maximum of one outbuilding.
of 10 by
Yeah.
16.
Or I'm
10
just
by
putting it up.
16.
Yeah.
By no larger than 10 by 16. Or how many square feet is that? Is it 10 by
Or
16?
10 by
160 square feet.
160 square feet.
Yeah.
So they
10
wanna
by
do
16,
8
or 10
by,
by 10. But
8
you
by
can't
20.
live
No,
in
you
it.
can't go
Yeah.
10 by 10 because building code's already got one, goes to 10 by 16.
Oh.
So I don't think, did we
Well, we
clarify?
could go 10 by 10, because this is completely different than the building code, this is the trailer code.
Right.
I think you're gonna,
Yeah, but somebody could build it at 10 by 16, we can't go on and say remove it, unless it's in the bylaw that it's 10 by 10.
A 10 by 16, a shed
Shed.
on a vacant, yes, we can say remove it, because they're
No.
not allowed to build anything on vacant land,
Yes.
right?
On a vacant.
So we can say 10 by 10 here.
Yeah.
yeah, but 10 by 10 is
It
pretty
is
small.
small.
If you had a rider,
Right, and you're,
Yeah,
you wanna
put
put
your
your
ATV
patio
in there.
furniture away.
if you do,
ATV.
and you have a large property, then you got.
No, your ATV.
if they're sticking to one outbuilding and
10 by 6,
10 by
it's
16,
better than looking at junk.
right.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And it's better than having people
Bunch of
say,
small
okay, well, I can make as many 10 by 10s as I want.
Mhm.
Like I'd rather them have.
well, they can't, they can only have one 10
one,
by 16.
10 by 16, and then they don't even have to apply for a permit.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, without a permit,
Right,
And in the prelude of junk and some of the bylaws have like that should be kept well. The
Yes.
trailer cannot look like.
Yeah,
crap.
I like
Yeah,
that,
no,
yes.
we need to
But
write
I
something.
think that we should put in the bylaw to meet the property standards. bylaw.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's responsible ownership, that,
Crap is
right,
in the
is the-
bylaw?
yeah, that what it looks like. How it has Yeah. crap, it
I
says,
like it, put it down.
I like crap.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
Did we hatch out the setbacks? I don't think we did.
I think it was it was about putting a setback, so
Of
it's
30
farther
meters
deep into
back.
the property.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
many,
so 100 feet,
Back,
30 meters back. I'm still a feet person.
yeah, me too.
So 30 meters back,
What's
but are we doing the
15
the 50
meters?
It's the sides.
I don't know, cause that's where I think instantly you could be, if the house beside you is set back 100 feet. And your trailer's gonna be 100 feet, but only whatever, close, like now all of a sudden you're, like I have my house, I'm looking at this trailer next to me, where if we bump it, like I just think if it doesn't fit on a lot that you can have 100 feet of setback all the way around, it's just not the right lot for a trailer.
100 feet's not here.
So we did discuss like we could have a minimum lot size within the
Well,
bylaw.
Yeah, so 2.5.
But the setbacks
The
will
2.5 doesn't give you that
dictate
because
the
You can only
lot
have
size.
it,
Maybe
lot
it's
size
yeah,
of
5
60
acres.
60 meters, 200 feet.
If that's the shape.
2.5 might be more than 60 meters wide.
It depends on the shape, right?
Yes.
So I would say, don't mess with the lot size, mess with the setback, and that will determine
Mhm.
if you can have it or not, right? If you can't go 100 feet on either side, then
Like your
Yeah,
setback
like-
is gonna take care of
exactly,
Yeah,
all your
yeah,
waterfront
Yeah.
and.
So
rural.
100 feet
Because
all.
nobody, that lives waterfront has
With Chase.
a property big enough
Agree.
to meet the setbacks somehow.
no, I think there are people that have waterfront that have the lot.
Some maybe at the back of Pine Lake.
We would just put no waterfront property.
Well, it's
On the
no-
waterfront hamlet and subdivision, you should put the word no.
No, yeah.
I'm not right now.
Yeah.
Well, they all said no.
I see a lot
I
of.
moved
questions.
the,
And I
moved
don't-
the line over some.
I don't think we unpacked the hydro either.
No, we haven't done.
So I don't think we.
So,
Okay, so
Is it that
setbacks, did we do setbacks? We're good?
are we-
yeah, it's 100,
Size.
it's 100 around.
100 squared.
Okay, so did you break 100 square around?
Wow, what's already?
So let's go, we
100
want
off
30
the
meters.
property line.
100 feet?
30 meters.
30
100 feet.
meters, yeah.
And I'm sure there's like to the edge of trailer or something is written in
Yeah.
bylaws that will actually just help define that. Um. So on the hydro thing. So you're on a minimum of whatever acre of property of 30 meters back, like, do we want to allow generators running?
Well, if you have those setbacks,
It won't really matter.
well, I mean, yeah, I think you should allow generators.
Yeah, I think so
Alright.
too, I don't know.
Fair enough.
Because those are pretty big setbacks.
Because what's the other option?
High.
Solar.
You gotta, but you gotta run something.
Now you're running hydro.
Yeah,
100 meters
yeah,
Or 30
yeah.
meters.
So
Hundred
I think, I think, generator.
But if they want to run hydro, it's still just a board and then they connect to the.
Right,
board.
because-
Yeah.
Not right into the trailer.
Yeah,
no.
so we
Yeah,
can
trailers.
say those, either however they want, their electricity, they can have
90%.
it this way.
Because the trailer has a plug-in, right? You just
Yeah, it's weird.
plug into the hydro.
So the only reason I even asked about electricals in the past 2 or 3 years, we've had a few people that have passed away because of
Right?
this issue.
Mhm.
Living in the.
Oh, it's valid.
in the trailer, with the fires,
Yeah.
and obviously being on the emergency management. So.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
not.
why-
I think as long as it's done up to ESA
Safe,
standards
yeah.
and it's been inspected
Yeah.
and approved by ESA, and great, and if it hasn't, do we have any enforcement ability about you can no longer have a trailer on your lot if you're
Yes.
using
Yeah.
Yeah.
unsafe power?
Yeah, there's.
So that's all part of the inspections then, right?
But you want inspection?
Yeah.
But
Inspection, both inspection.
I don't know, our building
Well-
inspector can't do that.
No, but if we are
Yeah, say
having,
that.
Right.
They don't have to pull a permit.
No, but here's the thing, if he has it to the board and everything, it's fine, and someone decides to wire from there, it's already inspected. They're done.
but if we are permitting this, then people have to come in and buy a permit.
Mhm.
So then we will know who to inspect and then they can fill out and say what they've got, right?
Yeah.
So this is like all of this information, we're gonna require all of this
Mhm.
information on their application.
And then they could sign a declaration to say everything I put in this is
Exactly.
true.
Exactly, so,
And
Some
then
of the
what-
bylaws have pictures.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then when the CBO does, or the bylaw enforcement officer does go to do the inspection, if any of the actual
Mhm.
site contravenes what the bylaw says, they've made the declaration, so then there can be penalties, whether it's demerit, revoked, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, start with education.
Yeah. To Dan's point, though, he's not wrong, once you put the panel in and you're gonna hook up your trailer extension cord, that's your trailer, but then you're gonna be like. Well, I'm gonna bury a power line over to my shed, fair enough, like I want light in my shed.
Now
There's no way
becomes
to
a
really
building permit.
regulate that. No, does it?
Yeah.
it becomes a what?
As soon as you get electricity when you're 10 by 16, you need a
Oh.
building permit.
Yeah,
Oh.
Which is still fine, so they would come in and get a building permit, we wouldn't disallow it, would we?
Wait, what's electricity? Like one of those little garage lamps that's hanging
Yeah,
in my,
yeah.
that's
It could be
electricity?
a couple of plugs in the
Right.
shed, could be,
And there's ways around it. You can use solar lights from inside, so you don't need the power.
right,
Yeah.
so.
yeah,
But to me, that's not putting electricity in your shed. If you run an extension, no, if you run an extension
Extension
cord,
cord, but
right, that's what you were saying.
No, like you can buy like conduit that you can literally dig down yourself. To like bury a piece of conduit, and if you're doing it yourself, some people do it properly, and some people put it 3 inches underneath the dirt and run it. And then it's gonna
And then-
feed into your shed, and you're gonna have like plugs and lights and all that kind of stuff in your shed. And I don't mind if somebody wants to have that, it's just I don't know how to do that safely, because to Steve's
Yes.
point,
Yes,
like, yeah, that's not like, let's encourage people to do this properly. How does
Yes,
that,
yeah.
what's it say? I know it's,
yeah.
if it's all done properly, hey,
Yeah.
awesome, enjoy it, right? Like,
and I, like, things that I've read here for, penalties. So it says, you know, if you contravene this, there's a fine, and then it's the fine every day after you. I disagree with that. I think that if we go in and we say, hey, this is wrong. And then the next day, like, so it's, you know, $500 today, and then the next day it's $500.
Give them a time frame.
It's only when,
Not right.
that's not typically the first go-to, the
Okay.
first one is typically, here's your education, did you know that you're doing this, please fix it within 14 days.
Okay,
If
perfect.
you don't fix it in 14 days, then we can. like,
Revoke a
fine.
license, like
Yeah.
really, if you did, even if you didn't wanna put administrative penalties other than a trailer without a license. The ultimate is to remove the license and you remove your trailer.
Yes, but then if they don't, what's,
You go
gonna
into
be-
the same
yeah, you need the
system
penalty.
of removing.
yeah,
I just don't, I think you don't wanna load this up with so many rules.
I agree,
Because
I
we-
agree.
I mean, ultimately, our bylaw guy, our bylaw person is our building inspector, and we don't wanna waste his time.
which is why I kind of want the, if you're in contravention. So somebody puts a trailer on a lot that it's not supposed to be on, somebody has it on the waterfront, or. I think the fine needs to be so steep, like, it's not this per day and that per day, it's like, the fine is steep enough. That it's gonna hurt for you to leave it there, and if you choose not to pay that fine, if you pay the fine. We should be able to fine again, because
Yeah.
you're still, it's not like you pay the fine, it's
Yeah.
like.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
So you have 30 days to remove
Right.
this kind of thing. If it's not, there's a fine. And for
Every-
every 10 days that it sits on there.
So you say, yeah, I would think maybe set the final a little bit lower, and then if it's not removed, it escalates from there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fine could be $500 over 10 days. So if it sits down there for a summer. Well, my goodness, like that's gonna be quite the bill
Yeah,
at the end of the summer that is gonna be if they haven't paid, put onto their taxes.
attached to the taxes.
And if they don't pay their taxes, that's the ultimate way for us to be able to get their trailer off the property is we now reclaim that property
Yeah.
and have the trailer in there.
Okay.
If they don't do it themselves, right?
Any doctor's offices on. Lake Front,
Yeah,
What do we do with the trailers that we currently permit on a property with a home?
without them.
With a home, currently they're permitted for 120 days
yes.
if it's on a property with a residence.
Being used for,
Yeah.
like they're allowed to
Right.
store it there all the time.
Yeah.
It's somebody, their nephew came to live with me and he's staying in the trailer for.
Summers, right? Are we going to make them also licensed or will the provision still stand?
I'm fine with the way it stands, like.
Yeah, because I mean, you can tap into the household septic,
Yeah.
and you can run an extension cord up to They
Yeah.
plug into the house. Yeah, I think that's fine.
So in some of these, they allow you to have a trailer for like 21 cumulative days. Or one of them had less than that, 2 weeks, 14 cumulative days. But
I don't think we have an ad hoc, but.
no,
It'd be very hard to police.
yeah.
I think
So if
some
you-
good, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I think it's just either there is a trailer or there isn't a trailer, but we can't police that, oh, it's been here 14 days, we moved
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
another spot. And
Yeah, they goes around the block.
Block and put it back.
Yeah.
I think a great time limit that they've have commonly in all 3 bylaws is the May the 1st.
Yes, to
To
the
November 30th.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, if the bylaw inspector is driving by. And it's not those dates, it's very easy.
Yeah.
To say, oh, now they're past those.
But what if I live in the south and I have a trailer and I want to come up in November to do some snowmobile hunt?
So the trailers aren't made
For winter.
for seasons,
Yeah, yeah, for a season.
they're only
But
made for 3 seasons.
I would like to see that go, sorry,
To December.
You can buy a motorhome that you can live in forever.
a motorhome.
Then it's probably an assessed trailer as opposed to a camping trailer.
So I would like to see it go maybe 2 weeks into December, just for hunters.
Well, we just said no, Hunter.
I guess I know that.
We just said
Why do you
no.
have 100 acres?
You can bow hunt until the 23rd
Yeah, but I mean, yeah,
of December.
right. But I think-
We're also
15.
probably more worried
No,
about this,
15.
and I've had a trailer and it's had an enclosed underbelly and. You can live comfortably, we do down it well into November and there's woken up with snow on the ground, so fine.
There are 3 seasons.
It's the 60, it's the sort of January, February, like when it's consistent, like. I don't think there's very many trailers
Some
made to
municipalities don't permit skirting.
build that, yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, but you can get a 3-season.
Mine
trailer.
wasn't skirting, it actually had an enclosed underbelly, like not
Yes.
enclosed around it, actually just had. Like insulation underneath, so.
I don't know, like I said. If you,
Okay, so let's.
I would say the
settle on
15th
dates.
of December, then
Okay,
hunting season's over.
You think here, for
It
health
does
and
look at our
safety reasons.
community
that's why
as
you
like-
limit it?
A lot of people
Yeah.
come here to
Yeah.
enjoy recreational
Absolutely.
opportunities.
100%.
Snowmobiling is usually huge, usually when we have snow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I
We're
mean,
trying to get away from the dwelling, the occupied.
yeah, so May to December 15th then, May 1st to December 15th. Everybody,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
a-
buy a piece of land and you can build like a dwelling.
Yeah.
If you wanna come up for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For all
or
4
stay
seasons.
at Citadel, great place to stay.
Or a short-term rental.
Yeah.
Or a short-term rental.
well, we haven't discussed that yet. so-
Yeah, I mean, listen, when we get there, that's not off the table, of course, that's good for short-term rental,
And on that kind of topic.
is that your segue in short-term rentals?
No,
Oh.
no, perhaps in the bylaw, it should say that trailers will not be permitted as an SDI.
That's right.
Oh, 100%,
That's right.
sorry, yes, absolutely,
Okay.
so in that 120
That's-
days, that's not a rental out to.
Mhm.
No.
It's not an occupiable
Yes.
dwelling.
No,
Yes.
And perhaps in our definition, we should concrete that
yeah,
some,
yeah.
that it's not occupiable.
yes,
Yeah,
Mhm.
again, your nephew comes to visit and he's gonna stay in the trailer for a couple
In-laws,
months instead
whatever.
of the house, cause it's fun and it's like he's camping,
yeah,
have at it.
Yeah.
Right?
And then, of course, you can have a trailer if you're building something. And you can have a trailer if you're clearing your land.
With the
No.
time limit,
So
Yeah.
the bylaw would be right now that it's. You can, as long as you have a permit issued, then you can have a trailer on your property.
Yes.
Right.
So you might come up the year before and clear your land, you would still have to license under this.
Yes,
Cause our zoning doesn't
you still
allow,
license it, but you can do it.
but you can
period.
have a
Yes.
trailer, but you can, but
You
you
have
need
to
to
license it.
license.
what do you think is a fair amount of time to build a home? So we could put a date,
A
like a
building
time
season?
limit.
Yes,
we.
I would say 1 year.
How quick is our?
Some say 1 year,
Yeah.
most of them say 1 year.
I would say 1 year, because that's, you
Yeah.
should be able to build a house in 1 year.
Yeah, cause the problem is somebody will take out a permit and 4 years later, they're still not
Right.
really building the house.
yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, they could go for extension if they're running behind, like, you know, so you're.
Yeah, well, we can be reasonable, absolutely.
Right.
If somebody's actively building a house and they've stumbled upon. Perhaps we haven't been able to get there and inspect it in time.
Right.
Well, of course, we're gonna.
or material delays or.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I would say a year.
North of that.
But what way, should we say a
Fair.
year, from issuance of permit, right?
Right, and that would, yes.
Yeah.
Your permission to permit, absolutely. And that would also include, I assume. Waterfront and hamlet. If somebody's building on the waterfront, we're fine. If
Yeah,
somebody's
right.
building in the hamlet
Yeah,
and you're in the hamlet.
Yeah.
And you have a huge piece of property.
I mean, the setbacks
Right,
don't
so-
apply then, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, the setbacks
No,
won't
this would
apply.
be like that exemption.
Yeah,
Yes,
And there would be no license requirement?
I don't,
for someone who.
No, 'cause they've already got a building
permit.
permit.
yeah, they got the
That's
building
right.
permit. I don't think
For
they-
someone with the building permit.
Yeah.
But the person who's clearing has to have one.
And that's another segue, which will be in the planning meeting. The province is proposing if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you open building permits, I think that's gonna come down the pipes that the building permit will have a time limit.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Encourage people to build. Good.
and then, these fees all look like $400 a year.
Never same as 6.
Yeah, yeah, except for this, but the other two are 400.
I like
I
400.
think that's reasonable.
Me too.
You don't, people already bought the property, they want to.
Well,
We don't like
I
that.
want 1,000.
holy smokers,
They're using all the services, they're doing.
they're paying.
So that,
very little.
again, leads to the landfill, what's the bag, what's the limit on?
But maybe the problem is, maybe we actually don't issue landfill passes unless you actually have a dwelling and they pay per bag going in.
So currently, the township has a vacant land pass. I believe it's the half the limit, 52 bags.
Oh, good.
On vacant land,
So
however,
much even.
but we do not permit right now anything on vacant land. Right, so if you're going to your vacant property, I guess, and have a picnic, you're allowed to throw out 52 bags of garbage.
Right, where I would think that if you don't have a dwelling. That,
Use too much.
yeah,
Yeah,
like very limited and or zero and just pay per bag and then it can be a $400 license. And it was $5 a bag or whatever it is. $30 a single axle trailer full of garbage, whatever but they will
The
just pay
garbage
every
can
time.
accumulate to a trailer.
Perfect.
The garbage can accumulate to a trailer size.
Yeah, I mean.
Like currently we do let other unorganized townships use the landfill and we charge them $50. I don't know what the new user fee is,
$100 for,
to use our landfill.
So I'm kind
That's
of,
your rent.
Year round.
maybe we go 620 bags.
sure,
The bags are probably times because it's almost seasonal.
Right.
So it's not like they're there.
Right.
yeah, and if they're traveling, they're taking their garbage with them sometimes, right?
Probably not even using.
Yes.
Well, no, but I mean, think about when you club, there's a lot, people buy a lot of stuff, there's a lot of packaging always.
Mhm,
And if they recycle it, they would not be use the 20 bag.
Right.
mhm.
I don't like.
Absolutely.
So did-
400.
No, because they are using our resources, our landfill, our.
But they still pay taxes on vacant land.
yeah, not much,
Nothing, no.
next to nothing.
We give like on 70.
So they
Yeah,
essentially
like
can be here
800
for a year.
That's a yearly permit. fee.
800.
How much is a permit for a year at the?
Okay.
Yeah. $3,000, yeah.
$3,000.
That trailer
How
permit,
much is the
trailer
permit? at-
permit for a trailer permit, 2,000.
That's almost in bond.
That's what it costs for.
It's $2,500, I think, you're.
Yeah, so it's still a effective deal. And
I
they've
think it
invested in
has
the
to
property,
be-
so
I have had a conversation with a campground owner here in Bonneville. And he does want the fees so that we're not competing with him because he still wants business. So if we make it ridiculously cheap, people are gonna. If they own land, they're not gonna put the trailer in his
Yeah.
property, but then they
Wow.
purchase the land as well, which is.
That's apples and oranges in my opinion, because the person will have had to spend the money to buy the property, which is not cheap.
And
So
then put a driveway and stuff in, it's
Yeah.
not cheap.
It's not cheap, so I mean. $600 plus all of the
Yeah.
expenses they gone through is not gonna be the deterrent for somebody to go in. To have a trailer.
Yeah, he doesn't
It's apples and
wanna
oranges.
do their own, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
perfect.
There was discussion also with the bylaws about special occasion permits.
Yeah.
For instance, I've seen a wedding last summer, on a large parcel of land. And they don't want anyone to be drinking and driving, so they invite, 20 people to come with a trailer.
And I was gonna touch on that one, even in like. If you, I mean, you have, how many trailers you allowed to the state, like, if you're having something for on a weekend
A weekend.
or a week, I mean. How do you regulate that? By the time you do something, they're leaving it. By law, person isn't around on the weekend.
Yeah,
Wherever you said you can't do it as a
If the
short-term rental, it's not a whole lot different.
It's not a rental, I mean,
A big family that lives in Hamilton and they wanna come up every second weekend, it's a difference.
Or if you have your trailer and your family wants to bring a trailer up to your property
that's,
and be with you for the weekend kind of idea.
right, that's kind of what you'll have that, I mean, people are gonna come up, especially if you have a big piece of land.
So what's the maximum number of trailers? Most of them are one trailer
Or
per. Yeah.
two travel trailers allowed for
For-
the special occasions.
Mhm.
So special occasion license permitted for more than 2 trailers for short-term use. And then just up to 2.
I think you have a lot of time regulating that.
all having to meet the setbacks,
Yeah.
Yes,
but you can't come up for 2 weeks and put yourself next to your next door neighbor's
No,
house, right?
no.
You gotta have, still, you
Yeah.
gotta respect the setbacks.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, look at, on 50 acres, 100 acres, you can respect that. no
Absolutely,
problem,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
have more than one trailer.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if somebody's coming in to,
Right there,
yeah,
good thing.
So we could go back to the property size,
yes.
and that would be like, this side of property allows one trailer. The side of the property,
I don't think we should get in the weeds there on that one for a weekend. I don't think we should try and regulate that.
Yeah, but how do we know a weekend doesn't turn into?
That's what I'm saying, is it could be every
7
week.
weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, if
I
I,
guess the permit would show that they've only applied for one.
yes, so they need a permit to have the person come and put their, right?
only, no, I mean,
Only
oh, what if I call my family, come on up for the weekend, bring your trailers.
The only way to truly be able to do that is to actually, and it doesn't have to be expensive, you would have to notify the municipality that, I have. X number of extra trailers coming and they're gonna be on the property starting this date, they're gonna be on this date. Or else how are we gonna know? Like, if we say you can be a maximum of 10 days.
Well, this is the cumulative 21 days, that's what they're talking about here, right?
Mhm.
So one municipality says 14 days, the other 2 say 21 days.
Yeah, but they're talking one trailer or 2 trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking like.
An additional trailer, if somebody's got their trailer, like it's my piece of property at my trailer. Now my brother-in-law is gonna come up and he's gonna bring his trailer and park it on my property, we're gonna have a good time. How long is my brother-in-law allowed to stay on that property for?
I think it changes because there's dwelling on there, I think it's, yeah.
There's not a door.
I'm not
But if
dwelling, I'm saying if I have vacant.
Oh,
They're
vacant
being
land,
hot.
yeah.
No, I'm not
I'm
talking.
talking like, if you, like at your house now.
No, I'm talking if I have a piece of property and I put a trailer on it and I go through all of this and I have my setbacks. Brother-in-law's gonna come up, he's gonna bring his trailer, he's gonna park. Now I have 2
I think
trailers.
you got the 14 days or 21 days.
Yeah, but the only way to really be able to know that it's been 14 days is they're gonna have to come in and get a vacation permit for this trailer. Could be super cheap, I'm not asking for anything. Whatever, like obviously the number of trips to the dump might increase and all of that, so there's gotta be a small fee to recoup.
Yes.
But then we can also know that they were gonna arrive Friday the 4th. They have until the 14th. If we go by on the 16th and that trailer is still there. Well, now all of a sudden we now know that they're outside of their.
But is that adding more to staff or?
Well, it'd be complaining, and it always is.
The landfill won't matter because it's still the residents, like it's the car.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it still costs them, like if they go over the 20 bags, it's now costing them the revenue. So yeah, you're right. So,
So it could be done with notification process.
right,
So there's a couple of things. So we're saying that we're gonna do this license and it's one trailer per vacant property.
yes,
That we're going to license. If another one comes in, it can be a special occasion. So it's like. I have 2 examples. So if I go to visit my mom in a trailer park, I have to pay
Parking.
$5. And so, right, it's up to 10 now, but that's for my car to park there and that's for me to sleep overnight. Cause I'm using their washroom, I'm doing everything, right?
Yeah.
So I have to pay $10 to go to my mom's and stay. And in seniors housing and the rental tenancy act allows you to do that. But if there's a guest policy, so if you have someone coming over, you have to notify the owner of the property. And they can stay, I mean, you can still set it, but it's typically at 14 days. Because then you don't want them to become part of the lease on the land
Right.
or in the apartment at the time. So there, just to set the precedent that there's other things when that happens, because there would be no way. It would be complaint driven, but there would be no way for us to say, oh, there's 2 on there, how long has it been? Because then we have to go by and then start counting the
Right.
clock from there and then come back 14 days
Yeah,
later.
I think they have to, there always has to be notice given to the municipality, whether it's
Yes.
done with a small fee or not.
Yeah.
The point you made, which is valid, but if you go into a trailer park, you pay your $5 visiting fee, or whatever, it's because you're now using the park septic
Yeah.
and you're using.
Yeah.
Where really, it's
absolutely.
on somebody's personal property, you'd be using their
Yeah.
class 1 or
If
their
you're gonna do it, I think just a notification.
notification, I'm fine with that.
So,
It also
one thing,
helps
and
the
I think,
bylaw.
I think we missed my point, is if we said you can't do it as a short-term rental, but you can do it if it's friends and family, as many times as you want.
But you're not renting it.
What I'm saying is, I'm gonna live next door to somebody, and their family is gonna come up every weekend,
Mhm.
and they're gonna make money on it. And when we say, well, you're running a short-term rental, they're gonna say, no, it's in the bylaw, this is my family.
Yeah,
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see your point.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I guess you have to put, and again,
well,
now we're
so,
going to the
It's
weeds, you
some
can't
sort of
keep
a-
regulating
we're not
stuff,
gonna-
we'll never do it.
yeah,
So then the easy way to say is you just can, it's 1 trailer maximum on the property and you can't have a second trailer.
And then, yeah,
No big
Like
deal.
that's
Unless it's for an event, where they get
and,
a
and,
special
3 days
occasion.
or 2 days,
Yeah.
or
and
however
it's
many
special
times
occasion, but,
for this one event, so it's not
but
one
they have to
event every
notify,
weekend.
yeah, they have to notify.
Because then
us.
if we keep getting
yeah,
that same address,
Yes.
then it's a short-term rental.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
yeah, fair point.
Yes,
So, yeah,
and so that's why this, the Killarney one, that they spell it out. That says an application on a form, approved by the municipality for the short-term allowance of more travel trailers than are typically allowed on a particular zone by this bylaw, has to have a special occasion permit. And it shall be made available at the municipal office, and the power to grant this exemption from the number of trailers shall be given to the chief building official or designate. And then larger events over multiple days may require council review and approval.
yeah, I would run with something like that.
Yeah, and I think you maximum,
That-
how many days a short, like, or how many days an event can run? 4 days? Like you can get a thing for 4
Yeah,
days.
let's just say a long weekend would be your.
Just 4 days,
4 days.
right?
Well, and again, I think that this,
No.
but this is
No,
why
family.
they're talking about that cumulative,
I,
right?
yeah,
So the 21 days cumulative is by address. So if, like you say, if the same person keeps coming in, it's like, nah, you've reached your 14 days, no more, or you've reached your 21 days, you're not allowed anymore.
But that's really tough to track, like Jason said, whereas if you just say it's one trailer all the time, if you need more for a wedding, for an event, whatever, you get a permit for those 4 days.
yeah, I like that one.
It can be 4 days and then
Track
next
it
week it's 4 days and then next week it's 4 days.
Right, but then you have to set a limit, because
Yes.
then I can come in every day and you said, hey, all I need to do is come in, here's my 4 days.
No,
Yeah, I said, I don't think
Yeah,
it's
once or
21
twice a
days.
year,
Like,
once
I
or
don't-
twice a summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
so
I
not-
think it's like 12 days max, so that 3 times a year you have a 4-day permit, like it's a maximum of 4 days.
Okay.
At a chunk. And you can do that a maximum of 3 times a summer.
How many,
2
how many long
whatever.
weekends are in a summer? 3?
Yeah, so 3.
I
So-
They wanna come up for a week.
Nope,
Well, they could, that'd be their 12 days, 5 of the 12 days.
no, but it's to a maximum of
4 days.
4 days.
Yes,
for
so
the time.
again, this is cumulative to 21 days or 14 days, right? So why don't we just do cumulative to 21 days?
For
I
12
like that.
days. I
Or
think,
14 days.
Or 14 days.
And they,
So Sorry.
I'll go back to the client.
I think I got it now. So you're at this place, you have your family coming up with a bunch of trailers, you're gonna come in, you're gonna pay for a 21-day permit.
you can, well, the 21 days is cumulative. So if you think people are coming for the 21 days, then you can do the 21 days. Or we can have them come in and pay every time they have.
I think
someone.
21 days is too many because you could be Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. You can have it 7 times in the summer.
Which is
Seven.
a short-term.
No, 40, yeah, 7. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like to go to 21 days,
I,
you could do
Okay,
Like,
14 days, let's do 14.
Yeah, cause then it's a maximum
I
of,
like, there's 3 long weekends in the summer.
yeah,
Okay, 12
Go
days.
4 days.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Maximum of 12.
14, leave 14.
Okay.
14 days. 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
Sure.
14 days.
All right, sure.
And with
Four
a fee
days
or
at
no
a-
fee? Like at least $10 for the administrative cost?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's, what did we determine it cost to, what did we?
A dog
determine last
tag
night?
was, for a fire permit, we came to 10.
Yeah, for the-
So just keep it simple, 10.
70%.
Yeah.
Per day?
Per
Per issuance, so
per trailer, yeah.
if you get one for 14 days,
Yeah.
if you get one for 14 days, that's $10. If you get 7 for 2 days each, it's $10 per.
But I think that you can't just pre-do them. I think you've got to tell us the times and the dates, like
Yeah, the
coming in and filling out a
Yeah.
form. And you're saying, whatever, my friends are coming at this day and this day, here's my $10, there's my license.
Yeah.
If you know that they're coming September, whatever, you can come in July and say, hey, I want
But you're
this for
paying
September.
$10 per instance, so
Yeah,
it's
per
14
instance.
days in a row, $10.
Yes,
If it's 7 2-day chunks, you're paying
Correct.
7 permits.
correct.
So you're paying $70 for those, just because that's the only way that we can actually really kind of keep it separate to
Yes.
know when those
Yeah.
trailers are there.
That's
When
correct.
it's loud, when it's.
Yeah, it's not a free pass for
No, no.
an extra 14 days, because then we need dates that people are going to be
Absolutely.
on your property. Yeah,
Is it only
$10
for
per
one
occasion.
extra trailer?
Yes.
Okay, one extra trailer.
yes.
So that.
So if the wedding happens,
Or
Yeah.
family
But that's
reunion?
something different, right? So then I think that that's something different.
So a wedding is something different than a special occasion permit?
No, it's the same as a special occasion permit, but that one is for one, so, well, I think it might be a different.
So maybe it's you for a maximum.
So it
yeah.
says here, larger events over multiple days may require council review and approval, right? So this actually dealt with both.
It's no different than asking to park in the bunch of cars in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So maybe we should do it that.
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
For a big event like a wedding or
Yeah.
a family reunion,
Yeah.
just ask.
As
Okay.
council, because then it's a way for us to know, okay, so I don't care if you bring 10 trailers in, as
Right.
long as it meets all the setbacks and it does
Well,
all
and
the.
also, as long as your neighbors don't mind, right? So that's sort of the other thing, like when we do it openly like this, then people know that there's cars in the parking lot and this is why. So if anybody needs to know, we know, right? So it's
Yeah.
not a secret or anything, so.
So and just because we're having discussions, but I'm having a wedding at my house and I don't need any permission. I'm not having trailers, but people are parking there.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
Right.
it's still ultimately your property.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
you
Well,
can't
if
be
you're not having
regulating
trails,
everything.
that's
So I'm just taking up the road space, but I didn't colonize.
Well, you might not have wanted to say that on camera tonight. I guess who's getting a phone call tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think we should get in the range with, like,
How many
still
and
your
much?
property. If you wanna have people with a bunch of cars.
cars, I don't care.
Cars and trailers, I think if they come to council and it's a one-time thing, like, hey, listen, my dog's getting married. And as long as it meets the setbacks and it's not like I'm gonna be right beside my neighbor,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm fine with it. It's for
Yes.
4 days, there's a wedding. If you can fit 10 trailers on that piece of property with all of the rules being met, enjoy your time.
so, but can you have 10
is that vacant
trailers?
land or
and-
residential?
I could absolutely.
But no, and still,
And you put
meet
it on
the
your-
septic requirements and
There's no rush. You're gonna know.
And all
Or they-
trailers come
all
with black
trailers have
water
their
and
own,
gray
yeah.
water, so you can hold your own for 4 days.
I didn't get it.
Alright.
Yeah.
So can we go back to that though for the septic and the gray water? So you can have an outhouse, the class 1 can't receive gray water.
Right.
So, but you can go to an MOE registered site to dump the holding tank that's on your trailer.
Like Samuel Champlain.
Yeah.
So do we want to know, like, do we want to see those receipts? Do we want to know that people are dumping and not just putting it out on the ground?
No, because they're gonna
Or-
look up and then they gotta email a receipt back to us or.
Or they need to be
But
able
they
to just hold proof, like just have proof that you do it. So
Or it's a
If
gray
a
water.
volume-
inspector.
somehow,
If it's-
because some people might bring it back to home.
So if it complete,
Right, people that live in the country, I can dump mine in my septic, no problem. I can take my
So
lid off
Oh,
and dump my
you've got the-
trailer.
Yeah, I can't, I'd have to dig.
here's the alternate. If somebody's gonna have a trailer there and they start decide that I think it's a good idea to dump your gray water, it's gonna last for about 3 weeks in the summer and then you're gonna stink yourself out of your own property. Like, so, I mean, there's that, but
Are we asking for a gray pit from North Bay Matter Conservation, like a permit?
On. Well, no, I mean, if your trailer on, you're putting on the lot. Yes, you will need something. You will need a gray water pit probably, or a holding tank from Mattawa, North Bay Mattawa.
I think one of the bylaws did have, I saw it in the Strong Township bylaw. They had wording that. Sorry.
I think it has to be planned with the permit. Like, tell us how you're gonna deal with.
Yeah, yes,
Your
Like,
black.
right,
and
so-
red.
yes, that's on the checklist.
So that's
I
all
definitely
bringing her home in my
prohibit
honey wagon every weekend.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it's a prohibition. However, it asks, how are you dealing? with it?
Mhm.
They don't
Yeah.
dictate really what you require, however, tell us what you do. have.
Just let us know you have a plan. to do
Yeah.
it,
Right.
Right? That's not dumping it on the ground.
So the one from Strong is that the trailer is connected to a sewage system that is operated and maintained as per part 8 of the Ontario Building Code and enforced by the North Bay Mineral Conservation. Unless the unit contains an integral holding tank to be emptied at a facility licensed by the MOE.
So they
Or
couldn't dump it in their own. They couldn't. That's not what that is.
you can't dump it in,
Why, that's not,
like in the septic tank.
why,
Someone's
that's,
septic, Yeah, but
I
that
don't
would,
agree with that, I mean. People who have country properties, they can have access to their septic tank. If I want to load up my septic,
that's on you, right?
so I mean, I
Yeah.
pay for it if it
You
doesn't
have
work.
to pay to pump it out, so.
So it,
Okay, well, we
or,
can have that and then just add or, you know, at your,
Here's your three options.
at your brother-in-law's.
You have to have a septic, a holding tank, or a gray water pit.
Yeah.
Like, we don't,
no,
But do you
it's
put check box on the
Yes,
application?
yes,
yes, a class 1, but for your gray water,
you can't, yeah, right.
you have to have the three, a septic,
Okay.
holding tank, or gray
Yes.
water pit.
Or the tank that's in your trailer.
Right, but I mean, it's not gonna hold for, if you're there
Yeah.
all summer long.
Possibly. But I think even like within, there's a blitz on trailers this week. And then the inspector goes in, like everything's planned, we plan his work week, so we're going in to do a blitz on trailers. And then if there's no provision, like if they have a full tank inside the trailer, or they can visually see there's gray water. The first, honestly, they can call conservation authority and they'll be fine.
Right,
yeah.
yeah, we don't need to get into them,
No.
Yeah.
that's Mattawa.
They'll be on.
We'll make them work, we'll make them work for their money.
Yeah,
Hey, we'll
I was
make them,
gonna say,
we'll make them work for their money.
yep. You have a note,
Okay.
but you don't have.
Demoed it.
Why do I do
No, I'm just asking.
that? Have you ever used it at house before?
Do you? No.
I do not have
Alright.
that. Yeah.
And
Follow?
Um. I think there's
Okay,
more.
so we got fees and now fines. They have like a whole thing of fines on most of these.
Would be if there any contravention of any of that, we will put a fine on.
Yeah,
And
so,
remove the license, I think.
well, it's using a trailer without a
Well,
license, it's
education.
400.
Yeah, it'd be an
400
education.
Allowing a trailer to. be
That's always
used without a
rubbish.
license.
Yeah, so we would have all those same fines.
Right? Remove license at second offense.
Okay.
Second or third, I mean, whatever.
Well, we're gonna have education, then we're gonna have fine, and then we remove.
Yes,
Do we need a bylaw for this before we
Yeah.
can establish those?
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
like that.
You can still make them. and-
First instance, education, second, fine, third, license revoked. Right. Like, that's your third strike.
Yeah, no, I don't think you need more than that.
Up here, we can put that.
Okay, but okay, but there's,
want to come over
okay, but wait a second, so if I'm using a trailer without a license. The fine is $400 and then I buy a license for $400 and then I'm good, right?
Right.
Mhm.
If
As long
I,
as you're
as
compliant.
long as I'm compliant.
Yeah.
Allowing a trailer to be used without a license, so that is if I have a second trailer on my property and. it
And you didn't get your
whatever,
special
I didn't do
occasion.
whatever, yeah, so that is $400. And then once the trailer's gone, I'm good. right?
Yeah,
Okay.
in compliance.
Okay, occupy a trailer on prohibited dates. I get fined $300, but then I'm not gonna do it anymore. I'm good, right?
That's the idea, so if you're in there December 20th.
Yeah, but then
you can get-
then I move my trailer and then I don't come back until May. I'm good, right?
So the
or are
trailer
these-
can-
are
trailer can
these-
be there, the trailer can winter there, just you can't stay in it, right?
Oh, yeah, we gotta talk about that. Can you start the
Yeah.
trailer?
No.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
why not?
Make these
Well, how the heck do I know if you're there or not?
Oh,
If
yeah.
the trailer.
Well, if you're plowed into your trailer or you see, heat and activity. then
But
you know.
we do have that problem though, because that's what we had to do a number of rezonings for. Because people were plowing their driveway and saying, no, I was just in to check chickens. Or no, I was doing my job and I was just in for this, but they were
No,
in fact
so I-
staying there.
No, why would I want you to store your trailer on the vacant land? You're coming there to use the
'Cause it's
trailer.
my land.
Yeah, where else?
Well,
is
you
it?
would
You should
see-
be able to store whatever you want.
If you're from Hamilton and you bring your trailer up here and keep it here all year versus bringing it back, and then when you get it.
Where do you store it in Hamilton?
Now you gotta store a trailer in a county.
At a marina, but the.
So if you're
it's not-
living in a condo in Ajax, where are you putting your trailer?
At a marina, but.
But you could make it so that by December 15th, whatever, it does have to be like covered and
Winterized.
stored, winterized, yes.
Yes, winterized, there you go.
So you do have to, like,
Oh, they
people
would-
put the tarp over, or they put a cover on it and.
But sometimes
Some
what
people
I-
don't tarp.
But it's gotta, like, I mean, in order to be in there, it's gotta have, like, you're already winterizing it, which is the antifreeze gear line,
Right.
like your water turned off
Oh.
if you're.
Yeah,
Like, all of that is happening either way.
Okay.
because most people that, they might not even have a well or something.
Okay, well, and then
Yeah.
if we do spot checks or whatever, or we know that you're living in your
If
trailer.
there's a complaint.
Right,
honestly,
complaint driven,
like,
someone's
hey,
gonna-
somebody's living in the trailer, it's February.
Okay, so that, again, so here is, the same thing, occupy a trailer on prohibited dates. Again, the fine is $300. So I pay the fine, but I still don't get out, like what?
Well, past December, let's just say past December 15th, there'll be an education, a fine, and then just keep the fine escalates.
No longer get a license.
Yes.
But we're
Oh,
saying
yeah.
we're broke.
And then, yeah, so what you're
Yeah.
saying is then
Yeah.
I'm fined 3 times and then my license is pulled, and then I got to get the trailer off my property?
Yes,
Even if I meet all of the other
Yep.
requirements, so I've met all the requirements,
But you're living there.
you're staying in there.
Right.
except for that one.
No, it doesn't
Well,
matter.
And now, but
That's the
May
biggest
comes
one.
now May comes,
Yeah,
and I'm in compliance.
no, you
Yeah,
lost
I
your
got another-
privilege to
I got a
be in
license.
once, we won't give you a license, you
Again.
continue to.
So now, okay, so
So now I
that's
gotta put my trailer at the marina.
the following year, can you get your license back?
Yeah,
Or you suspend for a year.
That's what I'm asking.
When you suspend for a year. Second violation, it's revoked for life.
Well, first chance.
Well, listen. I mean,
No,
how
this
many
is what
times-
we-
Okay, so we're talking pretty much anything that they do that contravenes the bylaw, we're saying. Hey, here's our bylaw, here's what you're doing wrong, you have 14 days to fix it. After that, it's a fine. And you have 7 days to fix it. And after the 7 days of receiving the fine. Then we're revoking the license, something to that effect, right?
Right.
For 2 Yeah.
years. 2 years, I like it.
Like they're gonna know,
And the
they're
first,
gonna know on day one, so they're gonna have 3
Right.
weeks. If they accept the fine, they're gonna have 3 weeks. To fix it before they actually lose
Right.
their license, right?
And to like go back to the winter thing, yeah, even you staying in there, that's what we're trying to get rid of.
yeah, we don't want people
So
to stay, I
you
know.
lose your license just for staying there. You don't come back in compliance in May.
And we should have another list, like, we actually reserve the right to not issue licenses, so somebody comes in and they are. They stay there in the winter, but they only plan to stay for 7 days, so worst case scenario, I'll get a warning. I'll be out by the time I do that
Exactly,
thing.
yeah.
Okay, and then every year they do that, well, at some point, it's like, yeah, we're not issuing a license anymore, even though, although education would have happened last year, maybe it's not an annual thing. We educated you last year, this year it's a fine for your 7 days if we find you in violation. And it, like, you know, what I mean? So it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, because there's loopholes, people
Second,
can.
yeah,
enforce them,
absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so
Some
many
have to
things,
think like this.
I was still not
Yeah.
thinking of.
So this fine is allowing an unauthorized connection to septic or gray water, improper disposal of gray water or sewage, so they're finding them not mad.
That's Madeline fine.
Nope, but this is
Yeah.
not, this is.
Where-
being
We can still do an admin fee and then still have that
This one
defined.
is
Or
the
an
Killarney.
inspection, they'll
Yes,
do the.
Clark can have a-
Yeah.
they're-
Yeah,
They
they
may
got
not
not.
belong to a conservation authority.
I think they do,
Which, Blarney?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they
But
do.
we can still
Public
find on
health,
our
I
side
think.
and then
Yeah.
we can still get.
Yeah,
fined
that's
from
true.
them.
That's fine.
There's nothing.
Yeah, I'm
that's-
okay with
That's-
that. Yeah, that's.
I can-
Yeah, unauthorized transfer of a license, failure to display a license, providing false information on license application, obstruct person designated to enforce this
Well,
bylaw.
to me, I don't think we gotta go through every single fine. We kind of have the big ones, we kind of know what we want to do, where it's education, then fine, then revoke of license.
And
So just bring the suite
I
of
think we need
findings
to
up
have
to
to
full
see
of
all that stuff.
Right, and I think
Then actually
maybe
list the individual fine, but
if you're altering licenses, you should just be.
Oh, yeah.
Alright,
there's a difference between.
So we'll have a degree of
Stupid and not. knowing.
Right,
revoke.
Right, altering, you're actually physically, yeah, so if you're altering the license,
There's gonna be lots of people here that fill out a license, and they'll be like, oh yeah, but they don't.
And some of
Just
it-
don't know.
Some of it should be up to the discretion of the bylaw enforcement officer.
oh, yeah,
Right, so lots of this is gonna have to do with the approach that the municipality takes on all of our bylaw enforcement, right? We would like to think we're education first
Yeah,
regardless.
yeah,
Depending on the circumstances, it might escalate to a fine immediately, all right, like it might be like, what? We're gonna have to fine.
and you will need to write that in that bylaw that.
Yeah.
You know.
At the
At
discretion
the
of
discretion of,
the bylaw enforcement officer.
okay, so it's a yearly fee
Mhm.
of $600.
okay.
And are we prorating if I come in July? No, okay, good, so that needs to be written in too, so.
Because I know, like, just for instance, your fishing license.
Yeah.
If you buy it December 25th or 25th, it's over on January 1.
Yeah, and it's the same price,
Right.
yeah, so that's just, I just wanna clarify
Yeah.
that, okay?
One more quick question. If that was out of it.
is it ever free?
No, I think- I wish I had Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is a vacant landowner allowed to let someone else use their land for their trip?
Yeah, with written permission, because that's what they all say, so if someone else is using your trailer, there has to be written permission from the.
Oh.
No, are you talking
Authorization.
trailer or are you talking land? Use the land, like
Use the land basically, so I don't.
I haul my
don't need-
trailer up to your
Yeah.
property.
Right.
I
I'm gonna
think
put it on their
either.
property for this.
Oh,
And what,
there's
sorry?
two different
There's no
things,
two trailers.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just a piece of vacant land. Hey, I got a trailer. Do you mind if I park it at your place for the summer? You don't have a trailer on your vacant land, so can someone else use your vacant land?
With
Yeah, with
written-
written permission, I guess.
but then that.
And the
well,
owner still has to be responsible.
Yeah.
Much like the fire
Yes,
department.
yeah.
The owner is still responsible.
Possible.
And I guess that is long-term rental though, right? If they're renting it or what have you, putting their,
Mhm.
Have to prove,
right? Pardon?
have to prove.
But it's not on a short term.
It's not short-term, it's long-term,
Correct,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a long-term rental thing.
So I can prove whether it's, family or a buddy just saying, I'm just using his space because he doesn't have a trailer right now, versus I own this piece of property, have no intentions of ever putting a
Right.
trailer on, because I'm renting it to people to pay for my property, will never be able to prove it.
And then,
Well, how about
That's
you,
true.
you're only allowed 5 different licenses or 4 different licenses a year, or whatever, something like along those lines. Cause obviously there'll always be different trailers. So you're only allowed
You
to
just
have
allow one.
Where she
Yeah.
was
I
saying,
don't know that much trailer.
You
she
only allow
owns
one.
property, doesn't.
One
have a
license per year
Per family.
per trailer, so there's only ever one
For
trailer,
a year.
Right.
unless it's proved, so I think. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it should be one license per trailer per year, like you get your license, here's your trailer. Unless it's proven that you have sold that trailer and purchased a new trailer, but it's the same owner, then it's a transferable license, quite frankly, but like we would see the change of ownership.
And we don't permit transfer of license.
no, but if it's,
Okay.
if it's the But then, I'm sorry, if I'm switching out my trailer on my property, I'm not paying another 600
No,
bucks.
you wouldn't have, I'm saying it's transferable.
Okay.
For
okay.
that, for that purpose.
For that
yes.
purpose.
Not
If you can go in and
ownership,
say,
But
here's
the
my,
trailer.
here's my previous ownership that I had on the trailer that I had a license for. In August, I decided to buy a new trailer, here's my new ownership, and it's gonna be on the property. now.
Right, yeah,
Thank
because
you.
we
Just
want,
update the
we
license.
do want all of that information, and then there's a fire safety thing that we want to make sure that they have working, smoke alarms and CO monitors.
They can put that in the declaration.
How's that coffee?
Okay.
Hi.
In the application process.
It's gonna be simple. I think that, I'm just kidding. Made a coffee to begin with this meeting, that was an hour.
Oh, it's still dripping.
Yeah, by the way, I think we need to descale the cure.
We haven't used it.
I don't use it very often, but okay.
I think that's always picked out of all the bylaws.
No, you know.
Does anyone have anything that I have? We decided how many, where they'll be. License. Penalties, education, septic, gray water. Special occasions, authorization of the owner.
If we missed anything, you can just bring it forward. I mean, we still have another discussion point at council on this, right? So.
Yeah.
But I think those.
Are we going out to, the community with this? Like, are we just bringing it back to council, or are we doing?
So my suggestion, I think we've gone out to the community lots. I think we've talked about it. A ton through years. What's that? For the last 2 years. I think they would have an opportunity to speak to council at a council meeting that, you know, it's advertised when this is coming forward at a council meeting, right? It's on the agendas. I don't think we need, this is as a result of the feedback we've received through consultations.
I like,
We
Yeah,
could do just a first reading of the bylaw and it's presented to the public at the council meeting.
and then the next
Second.
council meeting, I'm fine with that.
And that gives a
Still
good
safe.
period for
Yeah,
people
sure.
to comment
So
Yeah.
you'll accept delegations at the next council meeting.
Sure.
after the
After
first
the
reading.
first reading.
Yeah, okay,
Because it needs to have that first reading to say, this is the bylaw that we're presenting,
right.
as opposed to a draft, because it is all the feedback, and then. The next.
As
one.
well
I'm fine with
as
that
it gives opportunity for the council if they don't care for something in the bylaw as well.
So just one other thing from.
Thank you very much.
The last one, the Nipissing one, they had, a graded, fee system. So they had the $600 for an annual fee. Let's say I just wanna come for a month and it's my property, so they're saying $150 for 1 month, $300 for 2 months, $450 for 3 months. Like, it's my property, I wanna come, it's my, I only have a month's vacation or 2 months vacation, like, why do I don't wanna pay $600 if I know that I'm only.
that's because we're not getting the taxes when we make a property, right? So, I mean, we're looking at this as a revenue driven thing as well. It'd be no different than, oh, I own a house in Ajax. And it's worth $1 million and I paid my taxes there, but I'm never there. Can I get cheaper taxes? Cause I'm never there.
Or we could view it like, the $600 gives me permission to put a transfer.
Yeah.
I guess so. Also, I guess there's nothing stopping them from somebody else going up there.
Right, to enjoy the property.
Yeah, like their brother going up.
I
It's
get
one
that some people
trailer,
aren't gonna
yeah,
be here the whole season,
Yeah.
but, I mean, the whole point of this is to regulate a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually.
and trying not to be too administrative, so. Okay, never mind.
And we better not see it advertised on Airbnb, because there's a difference between my brother's gonna use it
Yes,
this
yes,
weekend
yes.
versus. I have 872 brothers that used it every
That's right.
weekend.
I keep bringing it up.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
it's gonna,
Yeah, and you know what, it's gonna be probably complaints driven, right, and we're,
Yeah.
so maybe, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
yeah, it's a tough call, because we're about to talk about our short-term rentals, and Steve's right. for all intents and purposes, if somebody really wants to scam the system,
Yeah,
we've just created a short-term rental.
yeah.
I don't think so, but.
You just nailed it with you're only allowed 4 times.
Right,
No, no,
but
but
if
if-
the dwelling has.
But
has
what,
to be
what happens if it's like,
dwelling.
it's my trailer, it's there,
I'm only there
I'm
for
not-
a month.
I'm only there for a weekend. And then every other weekend, it's not me there, it's still the same trailer, it's just somebody else using it.
I mean, we're never gonna
But
stop.
we,
Ah.
and we have explicitly said that it is not to be used for that.
I think what
Essentially, it's, you know,
So if we- if some-
having a house and having family and or guests.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other provisions within this can't be on the waterfront, it's gotta be on a larger piece of property,
Yes.
big setbacks, we've mitigated the. What could happen
Nuisance.
to,
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
Which means, to Steve's opening point, that we've got to then clean up what's, right?
Yes.
So there has to be a big cleanup so that we're starting
That's-
with,
Yeah.
That would be the biggest
yes,
animosity with our public is that. I'm doing everything right, I'm paying my license, I'm following all this.
yes,
Yeah, my neighbor has had 3
Right.
trailers on his property
yeah,
for 35 years,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
so,
all the
And-
bylaws say like, there is no grandfathering.
no,
No.
that's right.
zero grandfather.
Yeah. That's right. So if you have something previous, it doesn't matter,
So,
it comes
yes.
into effect.
and there'll
with
be
the-
education, give everybody lots of warning that
Yeah,
as of this is the hard date.
yeah. There's a fairness factor here, because of the time of year, let's be clear, it's May 2nd now, it's gonna be mid-June by the time we actually pass this. People have made their summer plans.
I think this year's a great.
So I just keep picturing them saying like, it's a young family, they're stretching their dollars, all of a sudden they got a couple of 6-year-olds that are looking forward to go spending the time of the trailer. Summer's over because we just said, gotta go, so I think it could be hard stop
Next,
November, like December, whatever.
December 15th.
December 15th is like, you clear your trailer.
Yeah.
Clear your trailer unless if you're not.
December or September?
Well, snow could be an issue in December, when if it snows early.
Yeah,
people good
so
luck.
I
Yeah, but
think
that's up to
we,
the people.
no, but I think we set the date, September 30th is when
That's
you're,
3 months.
yeah.
and your
Yeah.
summer's over.
And
Yeah,
summer holidays.
I'm happy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
September 30th is,
Now. For those individuals that are currently living on the trail, on a lake, that's filled
That's
with
their
trailers.
last day too.
There's hope that it's, okay, we're gonna refresh, like, this should be the last summer, cause they're being challenged with. Having to look at trailers across the lake, having to look at
yes.
when it's in non-compliance, but I think the rational. The discussion is. It is only fair to provide, given that it's taken council
Yes,
the year to get to this point. I mean, we've had a lot of work we had to do, unfortunately. This was something that was big in the election and we heard it all. It's taken us a year to get here. It's unfortunate that it took this long, but I hope people will give us the grace of, that we had to clean up a bit of stuff first, so.
so that's,
Yeah, I
but
think
that.
a year's back.
go on.
Like, this is a big project, and we've gone
That's we are,
out
some
to,
of towns took 5 years to
Yeah.
just go to get the bylaw.
No, I get
we've
it.
got lots of feedback between the zoning amendment, of the old people zoning. All the public consultations, the surveys and stuff, so I think it took a year to get the research done, and I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, what I'm saying is if we
Yeah.
did this and it was,
Right,
Yeah.
like next week, if it was February, I'd be like. All right,
Yeah.
well, they
That's
gotta be
very
done
well.
before this summer,
Mhm.
but unfortunately, it's gonna be
I
June by the
think-
time.
Well, we gotta be fair about it too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think September 30th. Is good,
Yep.
but I think notices can certainly go out.
The
for all
moment
of
the
those.
bylaw is passed, I
Yeah.
expect the.
Yes,
Whole campaign.
yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
absolutely.
campaign, I
so
agree.
how about if I present council with an education work plan?
I love it.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
I'm in by Ann,
Pardon?
I'm by Ann.
Brian.
Yeah.
And,
Getting this out, sorry, getting this out at this point in time too, also gives people that don't wanna comply to this. Enough time to solve
Very
the
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've done all we could to make the adjustment.
Yeah, and if somebody takes out a building permit on their house at the end of September to say, I'm gonna build a house next summer, you bought yourself another year, but. You better start building, and if you don't,
yeah,
But
Gotta go.
about the permit fee.
we got the permit fee, right? Like there's another loophole, somebody could take out a permit fee and,
I'm still gonna buy you.
yeah, absolutely. It's a very expensive year that you just.
Very.
And it's a good timing also with our zoning bylaw review.
Yeah,
And some things. It's the trailer bylaw, you know, it's not the zoning bylaw.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, I might buy
Yes.
a trailer, you know.
You need all setbacks.
No, I wouldn't need any,
Yeah,
but
I'm in the hamlet, so I'm spooning it.
Yeah. I have no neighbor,
Yeah.
but I have a
So,
dwelling.
And yeah, are you getting a trailer?
sadly, I think I will have a trailer for sure. I'm hoping somebody is willing to buy a fifth wheel trailer and. Hope my dad's not watching council. I have a trailer for sale.
Make your sales pitch right here.
Yeah, oh god.
Well, I might be on the
And you have
market.
the sheet that I did,
And what size is that deck?
Big.
the one with the topics.
Not after this weekend, it'll be at the park.
You got a year.
I ripped it out of here.
Not at the.
Well, I'm sure we'll get all of mine. I'm sure we'll get it all done. Yeah.
What are we getting over?
Before 10 o'clock.
The next thing's for SDRs.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's good, fine.
So I did a MMAH.
Sorry?
That's what it's actually, yeah.
Last week it was a great opportunity and great timing. MMAH put out a webinar. And we got to have discussion with the township of Ramera. The city of London
Yeah,
as, which.
I saw your notes.
Right,
Yeah.
and Kawartha Lakes. So Kawartha Lakes is bigger than us, Ramera also. However, it's the same reasoning, I would think, behind why they want to use short-term rentals to enjoy the recreational tourism that the lands can offer. So there's a lot of common themes through all of the bylaws. The requirement for a floor plan, which will allow us to understand how many bedrooms are there, to be able to put limitations on how many people are allowed to stay inside of the short-term rental. Septic system reports through rural areas. Limits on the consecutive days one person can stay per visit. And honestly, that is so that they don't go underneath the Residential Tenancies Act.
And some was 28 days and some was 30.
And I think in the act, I believe it's 60, and then you become a tenant.
Yeah,
So really having that restriction would help the homeowner because trying to remove a tenant is very difficult. And it would also work for the user as well. There was also property site plans, so that everybody would know where there's a fire pit, accessory structures, where their parking will be, well, septic, snow storage. Applications were reviewed by all departments, so the application was sort of like the inspection process. So the fire department would look at the application as well as the building inspector,
and planning.
public works and planning.
Yeah.
No licenses, a clause would be no license would be issued if the property had any municipal debt or tax arrears. No work orders, no open building permits and no active fines. There was always demerit point systems, municipal administrative monetary penalties. Corporations were not permitted to operate SDRs, so it would prevent businesses buying up the housing market and purchasing all the properties and just renting them as short-term rentals. Ironically, most of them did not permit fireworks.
Yeah, I read that. That's weird.
We don't currently have a firework bylaw, that to my knowledge. However, that can be worked into the bylaw because I think people rent them during the weekend, where your neighbor might blow fireworks because it's Canada Day. Maybe it encourages that.
I think people, sorry, keep going. I was just gonna say, I think people who own a home are also probably a little more careful with the fireworks. than-
Right, you don't want to burn your own car.
Right,
Yeah.
The property must be a legal dwelling, a legal occupiable dwelling.
Perfect.
Which you said that was the problem with that one municipality, because they went and inspected them, and all of a sudden, all of these issues with all of these.
like
laws.
200 building codes.
Yes, yeah,
Problems.
violations, yeah,
Um. And it's very crucial that we don't bring zoning into,
correct,
Right.
right, because that's the point.
yes,
Uh,
municipal
that's
bylaw,
Yeah, like,
yeah,
All three municipalities hired a database company. And that third party basically ran the short-term
Yeah,
rental kind of things. They would take care of all the complaints. They would map them, they would go on to the websites to
So
ensure they're
which-
there.
meant so, because I talked to Prince Edward County, same thing, and I think they use the same
I
software.
think that it's the only one in town right now. If you know what I mean,
Yeah.
that Gravicus seems to
No,
be-
there's two, there's
Okay.
two. But they said that administratively, it paid for itself. So,
what kind of cost is that?
well, they're a little different because they are tourist, they're Prince Edward
Right.
County, right? Picton, so it might not be the same for us.
Well, I did speak to the Remera bylaw enforcement officer, that's who spoke on behalf of Remera. They have 80 STRs that they permit. And the cost for Gravitas was between 9,000 and 12,000 per year for their contract.
Mhm.
And that was just to track the complaints, the licenses, nights rented, the cost and build the database. So when you break that down, I believe it's about $175 per
Yeah, that's not bad,
STR.
that is not bad at
Okay,
all,
but how many STRs do you have?
we don't know,
I could count 32
yeah,
on Airbnb.
that's what we know.
And why would we outsource that to a different company and not just use that if they have two jobs? Money's getting higher or stuff.
Yeah,
How many, yeah, again, to Steve's point,
Right.
like how many hours is that? Like, is that?
Mhm.
yeah.
And it may
again,
not work in our favor, maybe it's
No,
something. we-
We're not a huge.
Maybe lessons
tourist.
learned as we move through the process.
Like, what were the benefits?
Well, it created a database, and I think there's a lot of the things that they did do that we could do in-house, honestly.
Yeah. It was quick, right? So they could call it up immediately. They knew like, because a lot of it is complaints driven. And so as soon as the address or whatever came up, they could call it up right away and it's like, yep, nope, they're registered. They're, they've got this. They've been fined before. Nope, they're not on here. So. Yeah.
Well, they get higher or stuff.
Yeah,
Because of
well,
the permit.
right, and there's other processes,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's gonna be a learning process,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
through out the bylaw.
I think it's a
Okay.
spreadsheet initially. for us, right?
A
Yeah.
full-time staff member, that's gonna give about 10 hours a week to this,
Yeah,
not 30 hours a week to do.
Well, with the 80
For the
STRs,
same price.
the 80 in Remera, their licensing fee is $3,000
yeah.
per
S-
STR. And they broke even. At $3,000.
Yeah,
for 80
yeah.
At 80 of them, so what is that, 8 times 2, 3, 6, 9, 9. Right.
How much you put in?
Yeah, no, the program,
Yeah.
the program.
I liked not having, companies buy property, but have, like
Yeah.
but some people have businesses that are numbered companies that they buy their vacation property.
Oh, right, because of the tax rate.
How do we?
We
I
could
guess
line one per
One per,
corporation.
yes.
Mhm. I'll start writing this stuff.
I think
Yeah,
that-
but I
So can
know,
we do- Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
We ground in principles of, so. Obviously, like kind of like what we did with the trailers, we're grounding ourselves in principles, so.
Right.
For short-term rentals, they're currently allowed unregulated within our municipality. What we have seen is we have some successful short-term renters that are doing well and are great within our municipality, and we appreciate what they're doing. We have some short-term rentals which seem to be owned by individuals who have very little interest in the property itself, and it is really just revenue generating first and foremost.
Yeah.
And they spend very little time, if any at all, within that property.
Right,
So what, as a community, what we're trying to tackle is how do we ensure that those less than responsible owners that are just using it as a business and not caring about the neighbors, and how do we stop that or limit that from happening? Is
I
that?
know through several bylaws, a responsible person has to be listed,
yeah,
and most municipalities also make that person sign off on a declaration. And then it gets put on our website, their name, email, phone number,
Yes.
The DRP,
right? And
because they
it,
made it responsible.
and it's a kind of a good thing for the SDR renter as
the
well.
I want it so much.
Right? It's a good deal for the.
Oh, it's the derp. I know, the good derp. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of information that they're collecting and putting online, so.
I mean, yeah, cause I was of the mindset, if you don't have an abutting like you should have an abutting property to your STRs or. You know, something along those lines, so someone is responsible right away.
And the responsible person has to be. If that's a route we wish to use, 18 years old.
Yeah.
The owner had to sign off saying that they were the responsible person. And they have a time limit of response.
Yeah.
Right. I'm okay with, cause I was with you, I'm like, should be the owner of the property, worst case scenario, it's an abutting property. But honestly, responsibly could be as long as you can respond in 15, 20,
Yeah,
like it's
Gotta be a quick
yeah,
response
like,
time.
how long does it take to come from, like, what's one side of the municipality to the other, and it might be North Bay too.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hour.
Yeah, so I would think that as long as they can respond within half an hour,
I'd go 45 minutes.
I go
45
I
minutes,
go
sorry,
down.
very good, sorry.
60 is the
Whoa, whoa.
federal.
I would go 60, but
No.
so West Nipissing did the two-tier thing, right? Where they had unlimited, if you are a principal owner, you could have a short-term rental. And then they had 100 spots for people who were outside of that, who were not principal owners.
Yeah.
And were doing it at different,
I like
at
that.
different,
And
price
in
rates,
Gorsa
yeah. And they
Lake.
had, and most of them, also limited, right? So like, I would say, Killarney only allowed 50 in their township. That was their limit. Same with French River, 50.
50 Airbnb.
If 50, that's it.
So we can talk
They
about
capped it.
whether we wanna cap how many
Yeah.
Airbnbs, but I do like the principle of, if you are the principal owner of the property. You can have an Airbnb there every weekend, because ultimately you're there, you're responsible, it's your property.
Yeah.
If you're not, if it's just a renting a property or it's not your principal residence. Then I think it's limited how many times you can actually have that rented as an Airbnb.
I think that would
And,
be difficult to police.
Yeah, also, they had an initial fee and then they had
That's what that
renewal
means.
fee.
At Gorsa Lakes, they had different licensing fees for hosted
Yeah.
or unhosted.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that's,
should be the same.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
because how do you know? But like,
No, if
Because they would
if
have to
it's
go
a
with the responsible
principal,
person.
if it's a principal dwelling or if it's not a principal dwelling, right?
Like, are you going to, I think the relevancy was if they're unhosted, perhaps there'll be more issues, right? So then
That's right.
you're paying more, so
Yeah.
if we have to address those concerns.
but yeah, again, doesn't that responsible person take care of that?
But if they're hosted, then the responsible person's already there.
They already-
On
Yeah.
the site.
So, which means then
That
that,
would be more like 10 practice.
yeah,
Yeah.
so like I guess our first decision is, because we know of communities that are principal residents only. So we are not principal residents only.
no. I was initially, and I think it's actually too restrictive to be principal residents only.
Okay, but yeah, I was too, but I would go with the responsible person.
Well, yeah, that's-
But a 45 minute,
Yep,
you
Yeah.
got 45 minutes to respond, that's it.
absolutely.
45.
Yep,
45.
And the discussion was held about posting these people's names.
Yep.
I like that
et cetera.
too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It does, and because we get them signed off on a declaration, that you are aware that it's gonna be posted on our website, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't become a FOI or an MF.
No,
Right.
I actually think that's really reasonable because good neighbors should communicate.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be a good neighbor, you shouldn't have to hide anything, so their connection.
Be responsible, right? The
Absolutely.
Responsible being the operative word
Absolutely.
here. And I mean, the other things are, like, if you're on Vrbo or Airbnb and we give you a license number, that license number goes on to the Airbnb and
Yes.
Vrbo website as well, right? So,
and are we capping how many we're having?
yes,
gonna allow in the township.
Sure, I don't know what that, I'm not against it, I just don't know what it looks like for our municipality.
Well,
we
I think
need to
Ann
talk
said
through
there's
that.
she can find 32.
That was just
Yeah.
a particular day. I can put in like, if I don't put a date, then I find that many. If you don't put a date.
What I'm worried
He
about
looks
is,
into the report that says there's 43.
right, so I would
That
hate to
day.
hit. Like, we're gonna arbitrarily pick a number and then either figure out we pick a number that's way too high or way too low and all this, like, if we currently have 50. Or
That's
40
about
something, and they're, not all of them are responsible, but like, let's say we had 40 responsible that we didn't know about. All of a sudden, we picked a number and we're limiting where limitation wasn't needed, so I don't know where that happened, I wanna limit it, I just don't know where the number is.
In Ramara, they have, you can only have one STR per 300 meters.
Yeah, and that's the same with West Nipissing. You can only have, you can't have an Airbnb within, I think it's a kilometer, a kilometer.
So
Which-
how's our first come, first served?
Yeah, and so,
Waiting
yeah,
list starts.
but then, so, cause that means then that like in the hamlet here, if there are, you know, three houses that are STRs, right? So this means that, nope, pick one, because within a kilometer, you cannot have.
I think I remember seeing, and sorry,
I don't think that at all, like if I'm against short-term rentals, I'm just gonna pay for a
Right.
short-term rental contract, and then nobody within a kilometer of me can have one.
Sorry?
Like if I'm at my house
Uh-huh.
and I have tons of neighbors and I live in the lake and I'm against short-term rentals, I would just pay for a short-term rental contract.
and then nobody else can
Oh,
have
yeah.
one around you,
Within a
it's pretty
kilometer.
Yeah.
But how much does that
Kilometers
cost?
very big.
Yeah.
Very,
For
especially on
the people that
lakefront,
are
where they're
complaining
gonna
about short-term
enjoy the
rentals.
recreational, our properties are small.
Yeah,
Right.
I do know, yeah, I hear you now,
It's a
yeah.
fair point, and it's a great.
And it's a great,
So we know somebody who lives on the lake that does not want a short-term rental around them, I probably more than willing to pay the fee. Never a short-term rental of his or her own property.
So that never occurred
Guaranteed.
to me.
Yeah,
That never occurred to me. I
guaranteed.
don't think that should be a deterrent. I think we should limit it to a distance,
I like
Make
limiting
this-
it, I don't like to limiting the distance, I like limiting it, cause then it pushes people to register first and not like. Wait half a year, see if they're getting booked, see if they get caught, see, like it pushes them to be like, hey, I gotta get my permit in.
Yeah.
My
Yes,
license in,
yes.
or I'm not gonna have one, but I don't like limiting it for space, so.
I do because again, I don't want, if I'm, you know, like there's 11 cottages or 11
right side
homes.
close to close.
Yeah, you know, like if you're right beside each other and there's 4 right beside
I
you.
was right with you, right up until Steve made the point of. I'll just buy my own
That's
permit.
gonna happen, especially when
Sure.
we're looking at a
What's a
license,
permit licensing?
$1,500.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, for sure someone's gonna do
Someone
that.
living on the lake isn't gonna spend $1,500.
I would never spend
To ensure,
$1,500.
if you had somebody partying beside you every weekend because they had an Airbnb, I can guarantee you would spend $1,500 to guarantee. To
I
stop
would all
that
day
from
long.
So I'd like
Every
to
day,
say-
all day, every day.
The town of Huntsville, for instance, if we're going to have a delayed hard start. Part of their education work plan was that everyone that wanted to establish an SDR registered free. For the first
Yeah.
year, which created the database
Oh,
to make it
100%.
more understandable as to how many are there.
okay.
Right,
Are they too close?
100%.
Is it?
but going back to
Okay.
Donna's point, though, I mean, you have a short-term rental here and people are trying to put one across the road, like.
Yeah,
No, I get it. Cause I was with you, but then I'm like.
But
wait a
I
minute.
think
But
that,
so that's,
I
who
think this
cares?
is
I've-
gonna happen way more than that is gonna happen.
I mean, if someone wants to buy the permit. Great.
Yeah, it's
I
money
mean,
in
part
our
of this
money.
is we want people to come to Longfield and
Right,
spend money and spend time and.
there is a tourism
Maybe fall in
aspect
love
with
with this
this.
area and buy a house and that kind of crap, right?
So our
Right.
zoning bylaw currently says for group homes, because group homes are often regulated. They can't be located within 200 meters.
Yeah,
from
but
each other.
that's got nothing to do with this.
Safety, yeah.
That's
that-
No,
because-
I'm just,
Yeah.
right, I'm
Just
just
for us
picking that
people.
number.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing this from running 11
Yes.
group homes in Hamilton, that has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
So, okay, maybe a kilometer is a little
Just
tight to
consistent.
make it 2 kilometers. You know, I kind of like the distance thing.
Just putting it out there as a devil's advocate,
Yeah,
almost all of them are on the waterfront, and those properties are not
It's something
very
I
big.
have not been told.
And again, you know, sitting out on your deck, I mean, if you've got a lot of land, no one's gonna hear you, but on the water, I can hear the people way over from the other side.
So does your 200 meters or a kilometer include water? Like, so you'd have to have a kilometer of water between you and the person on the other side? Because it's different, that's the difference. Like, it's just, here it is,
Yeah,
you draw a kilometer circle around that property.
That's how I would interpret it.
That's the principle of what you're trying to get at.
see what this.
So,
No, I see it. I think what they probably did was like address space, right?
sure, but
Yeah.
Address their driveway.
here's your address.
Right.
Yeah,
Here's your address, and how do you determine kilometers? Kilometer down the road each side, or is it a?
It's no different than how we just set the trailer bylaw.
Correct.
mhm.
Yeah, so within, it's a radius, no, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right, so no
Yeah, no,
license
it's a
for a
radius.
class B, non-principal dwelling unit, short-term rental accommodation shall be issued for any property where there exists a class B, non-principal dwelling license within a radius of 1 kilometer from the boundaries of the property.
So I would imagine you pick a small lake, that's one, you would have one Airbnb on the lake.
Well, we don't have to go with a kilometer, but I think that it's a good idea. And I think that this is too, not for principal owners, right? Because there's no limit on principal owners and there's no contiguous circle on principal owners. This is only for the people that aren't living in Bonnfield and that have a property that they're
Could
renting.
we do it by zone?
No,
No,
We can't bring them in.
no,
No, but
zone,
like,
no zone, no zone, no.
by
zone.
this area, you can have 6 in this area, you can have 6
No,
in this
no,
area,
no
you can
zone.
have,
No,
why?
because this is.
Just
a
because, okay, no
This
radius,
is,
how about just because?
Because it's a municipal program and you would have legal non-compliance. We do not want legal non-compliance.
How would we have it, if what we said
Because
is if
if
in
it's
the
in
hamlet
a
of
zone,
Bonnfield,
right,
if it's in the hamlet, you can have up to, we will allow up to 15. If you're in, just take a map, you go, if you're in this area, we will allow
I
15 in
think
this
that's
area,
more
15
restrictive
in that
than what
area,
I'm saying.
15 in that area, but it gets away from. If I'm not happy here and I'm gonna take it within this one, you can have a few next to each other, but it's limited how many within that area of.
I think you're missing the point of why I don't want 4 in a row.
I think you're missing the point as to what, how easy it is for somebody to just restrict and never do an Airbnb. I'll just buy the license and never have an Airbnb around.
I mean, at $1,500 is it's a joke. I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
do it all day long.
So would you,
I would not.
if somebody
Maybe,
already beside you,
hold on, maybe
Yeah, if I
if
did
you
not-
pay for a license, you pay for a license for an Airbnb this year. Maybe you have to show us proof of how many days you rented, and if you didn't rent it out at all next year, you don't get the license next year.
you could cap just period the limit.
So we don't say,
And
hey, you
have
have to you have to rent it out 100 days. We say you gotta rent it out
a minimum of.
20 days or something like that.
Okay, but we're not getting any of that money, right? So I don't care.
don't think
Why
it's police
would we
either.
care what they rented it out
If
or
there's
when
a
they rented it out?
MAP.
That is no concern of
Only
ours.
because what we're trying to do is stop somebody from buying the license
Mhm.
and stopping actual Airbnb activity, because Airbnb activity is healthy in a community.
I agree.
Yeah.
And there is,
There are people who will buy the license for the sake of buying the license to not have Airbnb activity around. So you get 7 of those around the area. We basically stopped Airbnbs in the community.
You just give a way to do it.
I don't believe that this is the spirit of this, and I don't believe that that's going to.
But you, okay, but you may not believe that the spirit is, but it's there.
Well, maybe we can ask, well, we just.
There's a
put this
loophole
in.
on it, and that's it for sure.
Like I know in Ramada, like you go on the GIS mapping. And there'll be a dot for all the
Yeah,
STRs or whatever, and then there's like a little circle around them.
to make
And then
sure that-
you're already able to go onto the GIS mapping system and, oh, I can't apply.
Right, so in that circle, if there's 6 properties.
Right. they can't
one of
do
the
that.
6 will get it.
Right,
If the one that gets has no intention.
Yeah.
Of ever putting an Airbnb, of using an Airbnb, the other 5 who could potentially use it as an appropriate Airbnb now can't.
what about just the limit for the entire township?
Yes, well, we definitely need.
Yeah,
to
yeah, I'm
look
okay
at
with the township,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And again, that speaks to the, like, you better get your license early. That pushes people to like apply.
Yes.
So
I think in the township of Tiny, they offered 300 licenses.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on it.
Yeah, they did.
And they had like a backlog of like 150 licenses.
But they also had, tiny,
45, yeah, 40, somewhere in there, between 40 and 50, I think we started.
Tiny, struck a working group with half the people who were pro and half the people who were anti. And it was a disaster.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, well, of course it would be.
Absolute disaster.
Yeah, donuts won't fix that meeting.
No.
Here, I brought donuts.
That sounds good. Yeah, I was all in agreement, but it was a disaster. He said, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Because there were lawsuits from both sides, like it was crazy.
So I would like to revisit, I like the idea of X number in the municipality as a whole. Instead of doing the circumference, if we looked at areas. Because what we don't want is 8 or 4, like, or we need to try and limit 4 side by side. So if we looked at
North Star Drive has 3.
North Star Drive. That area,
And it's this,
Off the
and it's this long, like the road is this, like, it's less than a kilometer
right, but
long.
if we did that in a circle with development, part of development and part of North Shore and part of like, it is the area down at the end. You can have a maximum of 10 within here. That's stopping the principle of somebody going, I'm just gonna buy one and nobody can be around me. No, it doesn't work that way. Like you,
I bet you Steve didn't say that. Nobody would have even thought of it.
no, I know, but.
When you
somebody-
go on the site right now.
I would not have thought of it, but
No.
it's so smart,
But
like
there's-
honestly, it's,
There's lots of people, they're like,
yeah, absolutely.
to think that way.
If you go on the Airbnb site right now. 70% of them are probably around this end tip of Mount Sponson.
Right,
Right, and that's,
And there's like a handful in the Pine Lake town like area.
and I mean, that's what we kind of want to stop is where it's so saturated on
What I
that.
see advertised.
right. So we can either do that by drawing a circle and then ending up with something like what Steve mentioned. Or we just look and say areas, how many are we comfortable with and having around this area of town versus
So I
Pine Lake area?
think what would be nice is. And had us a map where the saturation is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, but then,
yeah, I was just gonna tell you to pull up the Airbnb.
but then,
That doesn't stop the 2 or 3 health of them. Just.
It does not.
no, it does
No,
not.
it does not. It
And-
limits the possibility of it, I get like. Because if they're out of the 10, like, so there's might be 3 side by side now. Somebody sells, doesn't mean that is gonna like. That, there's a waiting list, there might be a waiting list, right?
You know,
And out of that, how many are
Yeah, North Star
corporations? If we take the
95,
corporations, the number of companies out of it. You know, that might knock out a few Airbnb.
Yeah,
Well, I think what we could do is, like, you could have 2 different dates that you can apply for your license. So if you own your house here, or you're gonna respond here, you get it 15 days earlier than if you're a corporation to apply. So if everybody that owns their house, they apply, and if our numbers are up, then the corporations won't get a license that year.
I like that idea.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like, you just
responsible
have to
ownership,
open
is-
it.
Yeah.
we're promoting
Pri-
responsible. ownership.
Priority is given to
To
homeowners,
Not
Yes.
not
corporations.
corporations, okay? I
Or,
like that.
or somebody that lives in
And then
downtown,
that's
it's not the
right.
principal,
Like
so
it-
it's priorities
I don't
given
know
to
what the
principal
legality
resident.
is.
Yes. First principal, then single owners,
And then like,
and they can only own one,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the other
It's
thing,
like it's not-
right?
Yeah,
I like
Registering
that,
for
I
a
like the
sport
way we're going
program.
there.
yeah, I
For
like that.
kids, right, like, we did it
All
with
right,
summer
that's
camp,
fine.
right, like,
There's-
right,
Yes.
you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way
Yeah.
we're going there.
And they can only own one, yeah. A corporation can
So
only own one
give-
and
I think I did
individual.
hear everything we were talking.
Only one per
Yes,
owner and corporation?
yes,
But
And then they can't be
but
the same.
residents get first,
But
And we need the shareholders
Principal.
of all the corporations.
Not
Yeah.
owner,
principal residents get it first,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not limiting that.
Are you saying like posted ones, or are you just mean people that live here?
Well,
Oh,
Well,
Posted and
posted, you
unposted.
would live here, it's your principal residence.
Well, I know for sure there's one that's. He owns a
right,
house.
yeah,
And short-term rentals. the
Yeah.
other.
Mm.
because I think
That's
some
not
people would
posted.
have
It's not hosted.
2 cottages and rent this one out and live here and then rent this one out and live here, right? So like. They should be able to pay for it.
Yeah, I see where you're
Two
going. I see that,
licenses.
because at first, what I really like is principal residents get first, so I live in, I'm gonna rent out my basement, or I have a cabin, or I have a.
Or you live where you live now and you have a cottage on the lake.
Yeah, for sure.
no, sorry.
Oh,
so
principal residence within the municipality.
it's in
Yeah, that's
the-
right.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be it doesn't have to
Right.
have a principal residence where the Airbnb, principal residence within the
You're a
municipality.
Bonfield resident.
Yeah, yeah,
Love it.
Or
yeah.
Then you can
Bonfield.
have, then you can have a
but what
cottage
are
in
you
Lake
saying,
End.
that you can have
I
two,
can rent
no,
the
you can
basement
have two
and-
licenses,
Well, that's what I'm saying, because you're saying that you only one per person.
one per person.
What if I own 2 lakefront properties? And I'm living in this one, and
Then
I'm
you-
renting this one, hold on, and then a few weeks later. Hey, somebody rented that one, so I'm just gonna go and stay there.
No.
And I'm
Why
back
would
and
you keep renting
Yeah.
one?
Then I'm there to. be
No, you
responsible.
get one,
Well,
sorry.
but wait, what happens if I live in my house
Mhm.
and I'm gonna Airbnb my basement?
Mhm.
I also have a piece of property within the township that I Airbnb. What's
Oh,
wrong?
definitely limited.
Oh, no,
Why not?
because if we are limiting it to 40 or 45, then why would you get two?
Cause I would love 45 people who live in the municipality to have the Airbnbs first.
So is that only for the people in the municipality?
Yes.
However,
Yeah,
all
still
of these
limited
people
purpose.
pay taxes.
Okay, so, okay, and if you live
Who's always-
outside, you're only getting one.
Yeah.
If you live
I know.
outside,
And
you
we're
don't.
gonna-
If you're,
I think we're gonna try and limit
A
it.
numbered
Just
company
like,
on-
that will have a wait. list.
Yes,
It's not that
if
they
you're-
I think there's
you're
2
not-
categories.
They, corporation just
Yeah,
gets
I thought
money
that's
to
what
use
we
it.
wanted.
Bonfield, rather than
Here.
resident,
Principal,
your you live in this area and you can respond.
Yeah.
And then you're a corporation.
or you're, no, or you're out of.
Well, that's what I'm
out of
saying,
one.
is there's like.
But that's
three.
not not necessarily a corporation, I can be a
Well,
single,
that's why I'm saying that there's three options. You're a resident, you're a non-resident, but you can respond within the 45 minutes,
It's like if you lived in North
and
Bay.
you're a corporation,
okay.
or you're a corporation.
Oh, okay,
or not.
and so the non, or the resident can have unlimited
Sure.
amounts within the township.
Sure.
The non can only have one,
One.
and the corporation can only have one.
So how do we prove they only live here? Or they don't live here?
Cause we'll be able to see the actual and their,
And their address, but their address.
pardon me?
They all pay taxes.
Okay, but their address.
Yeah, so how do I know that?
Yeah,
this
their
isn't-
principal residents will be able to prove.
No,
How do you, so I get my mail. You get your mail to your property, is it
In
your
the summer, you
principal
move it
residence?
over to your property.
But you know
Yeah.
what does
We
though
don't, we couldn't
is,
prove principal residence.
you
last year.
can by driver's license.
There you go.
You can
So
buy.
in the
driver's
last
license.
one, the husband had one and the wife had the other.
Yeah, I mean, that was gonna be.
Well, then there's.
There's
screws
always
and-
the
I think
loophole.
like because we haven't really got a great database.
Yeah, yeah.
I still think.
Like if we started with like 50 this year, let's say, no holds barred.
Yeah.
And then we revisit because now we do have data.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so-
still think you should limit the corporations. Anybody that has a numbered company or corporation gets limited.
Or we can say no to them. We
We
can
sure
say
could.
no
Yeah.
to the corporation.
Well,
I
if-
think maybe we say no.
People of, do the job and actually getting licenses early, corporations won't have any left if we're limiting them.
Well, and then going back to
And then
yours,
the
going back to
corporation-
what you said. If you have a Bonfield well, I guess, yeah, again.
But if you're staggering the registration period, the licensing period.
Right. So
That's-
it's
so if there's-
residents first.
If we say that there's 50 and there's a ton of, and everybody gets it right away, by the time the 2-week period is up and I'm a corporation in Toronto, I don't have any licenses left.
You know what, I gotta tell you, I'm, the more I think, I'm in favor of just no corporations, and here's why.
No corporation.
The principle of Airbnbs is not to be a hotel,
not a business.
right? Like a.
But like,
so-
but then you go back to,
People do it just as a
Right.
tax write-off for their super small company,
right, if
Family
I own a
farm.
business and I,
hire shop or whatever, like, it's not a huge Toronto
yeah.
company.
then how do
Put
you
it your own personal name.
Well, they're doing it as a
tax
tax
write-off?
to rent their.
I mean,
But that's,
Okay, but some,
that's not the purpose of their tire business.
Yeah,
No, but
But people do it all the time.
sure, but I'm like,
I don't know. I don't think you should
Like, I think
punish,
there's a difference between like,
I don't think you should punish a small
Nike.
business owner that trying to afford a
no, but
car.
I think the spirit of an Airbnb, is to have extra money for, an individual to keep their cottage or, so I would be in favor of no corporations, no corporations.
how many corporations do we see in the database?
I can only say what I think,
Yeah,
and it's only by looking at Airbnb addresses and then going into.
Yeah.
And back,
So what's the number
I
in
think
here?
there's 3.
Yeah.
In the same location,
Yeah, so I don't know that.
Okay,
we're-
in the same location,
owned by one company.
what do you mean in the same location?
On the same spot of the lake or wherever.
Yeah.
Different
so they're-
properties.
they're that
Properties,
cluster, yeah,
On a road.
yeah, see, we would.
Not all in a row, but they're all in the same.
and that's what we're trying to avoid, right?
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, that's taken away from responsible ownership.
We have had no complaints from that.
No, listen, they might be
Uh,
responsible, but
Yeah, and again, it's not about, it is about the complaints, but it's not about the complaints as well. It's about responsible ownership, maintaining the character of the neighborhood.
yeah,
And it's to some degree, not up to the neighbors to be policing this, right? If we've got the bylaw, like, wouldn't you like to be the neighbor who's taking pictures all the time and sending it in and doing it? Who wants to be that?
I just
neighbor?
paid $1,500 not have anybody around.
I like.
So, then we wanna move on and come back to how we're gonna limit?
Okay, so wait, how many fours do we have? So you want corporation?
No, I don't want corporations.
You just said you wanted.
Yeah, you're voting for it. Don't punch the
You
small
want
business
the
owners.
small-
I know, that's a tough one now, because. Yeah, no, but.
You flipped them.
A lot of municipalities gave it that they were only allowed one
Corporations were?
corporate.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with
I'm
that.
fine with that.
Let's test it. Like
I
a year
don't
from
care
now,
if
we
a
can breach
corporation
it.
has 872 of them, as long as there's only one in our municipality.
One in our municipality, yeah.
I don't care if they have 852.
One-
Per corporation.
One per
Yes.
corporation or numbered company, whatever it is.
Right,
And
Well,
we get
what's
their
the-
shareholders, so we know who the
I
shareholders
was gonna say,
Yeah.
what's to stop them from opening 3
No,
numbered
but we
companies?
would know the shareholders, so
Okay.
it still has to.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
still has to be a
like
name
that.
in
Gotta
it.
pay to open company.
I have
Yeah.
$70. I open companies all the
Yeah.
time. I got like 15 of them.
It's only 70.
tax write-offs?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
And are we
How
going
many
to
of them
the,
run out of the Cayman Islands?
what about hosted, unhosted, do we?
I
care
think
about
they
that,
get
or
priority registration
Hosted,
by a couple weeks, both.
hosted,
Yeah, both, I think.
our Airbnb?
I think they get
Or
priority
how about if we
registration by.
change-
what,
No,
13?
no, I think,
Oh, hosted, yes, there we go.
no, so there's 3 categories.
I held my marker open so long it dried out.
Yes, so there's hosted and unhosted that live in Bonfield. The owner lives in Bonfield. That's the
But we
first
can't prove
category.
it.
We can't do that.
Yeah,
No, it
it's
was
gonna be impossible to prove.
Unhosted,
hosted living on the property
Right,
and unhosted able to respond within
45 minutes.
right.
No, but that's
Everybody
the,
has to be responsible.
yeah, everybody has to have that DR, the
Yeah,
designated
I-
person,
yeah.
so.
yeah, so I think, but it's hosted, unhosted within 45 minutes, corporation.
No.
Actually, I don't even care
no,
for a
no,
corporation, it's only one, I don't care with the difference between hosted, or the difference between unhosted and
corporation.
corporation. I think it's hosted, like it's my principal residence. I live there, I'm renting out my basement. Like when I was in Dartmouth, that was the rule, like they had to live there and,
In British Columbia, actually, that's provincial rule.
yeah, so. It was
We may be doing
super
that
great, the guy was
nothing.
in
Yeah.
Mexico, I was there, but he had to have somebody in his house.
So I know Nikki says it's hard to prove, but yes, your driver's license say your address is there. If people wanna work the system, they're gonna work the system.
Yeah, but I think that people have to, so I think that we go on the premise that, because we can't build a bylaw based on people gaming the system, okay? So,
That's why they have judges and lawyers.
exactly, so their number 1 is your principal residence and you are a resident of Bonfield, so that will cover the category of, I have a farm and I have another house right beside my farm, that's my Airbnb, and this is me. But I'm not the principal dweller of this house, right? So 1 is I'm the principal dweller, you're getting a room in my house.
Or I live within 45 minutes, wherever
Or,
my,
yeah,
wherever I say.
no,
my
no,
exit.
but you have to have an address within Bonfield.
Or
That's
how
where
about
you're-
within 45
No,
minutes?
within Bonfield,
Why?
that's the first
So what if I
one,
lived in North Bay?
because that's
No.
what we're giving, we're
It's
giving.
staggering.
I'm giving my residents, people of Bonfield, first crack at it, not somebody from North Bay.
Fair.
Okay, so that's number one. The second category are the people from North Bay and Toronto, okay? So they are the secondary people, and then the third people are the corporations, and they get one per corporation.
Yeah,
Did you get that in?
I got
and
it.
if I live in Toronto, I have to have somebody designated.
Right.
That's a whole separate thing,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
And this person actually ends up with a job, that's saying usually.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, yeah.
paid job.
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
And it could, I could live here and still have a DSR, right?
Because you don't want to be bothered. Yeah.
Yeah, you do a couple of these,
So what are we saying? Hosted,
Unhosted and.
7 days. Unhosted, 7 more, and then whatever's left open.
for registration,
everybody.
yeah.
No, well,
Start over with that, sorry.
So
he's
for
saying
registering
the
for
open.
licenses.
The
Okay,
open.
so what's our limit gonna be then?
I think 45.
whatever. Yeah,
Somewhere
A
around there.
minimum of at least 50, because I'm.
let's start with 50 and see where we go for the first
If
year.
council needs to revisit it because we've missed the mark.
Yeah, and so can we do that?
Oh, we'll find out, right? And it's just a simple report to,
Okay.
obviously, we would probably. want
But like
to
this
report
would
back on
take care of
that.
our problem, right? Like if we say.
Yeah.
You, registration for licensing opens on this day for hosted. 7 days
Early
later,
reg.
unhosted.
Yeah,
Ideally, all 50 are gone by then, and corporations don't have any licenses. So- And again-
Staggered risk.
Again, that pushes everybody to register by a certain time, right away. Our
But
clerks and our
7
staff
days,
know
though,
that this is kind of registration
seven?
week. They can kind of,
Yeah.
travel some hours accordingly based on
Can we
that.
do 7 days or 14 days?
7 day stagger or 14-day stagger. between-
Because
14, because if you happen to be, like, if we're gonna
We're
do
just saying this is 50
January
people jammed in
first
here,
to
for
the
7 days trying
15th.
to get a permit.
is
Go for-
one,
go
15,
14 days.
16th to the 30th.
Yeah.
And we won't do it during tax time.
No.
When's next time?
No, because if this is gonna be
Depends
a
when you guys
January,
in August.
this license is gonna be from January to December.
Right.
And again,
Okay.
it's not prorated or anything like
Yeah.
that.
So
Okay.
then you're gonna put, underneath unhosted, then you have to put,
And then corporation.
corporation.
They're only permitted that.
And if we only end up with 45, we have 5 open, if somebody comes in August and wants it, you're right, it's not prorated,
Yeah.
you're paying the
Yeah.
fee.
And in a
Like
few
it's-
years, we could say, hey, you know what, that was too many. Let's go
Yes.
down.
Right,
Yeah,
or through.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But if there's like I just mentioned, the Councilor Clark, that. Like, obviously, once this starts rolling, we should do reporting to council.
Yeah.
And if there is this, like, oh.
Well, we're not gonna make it, we're not gonna hit it perfect.
Or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, if we have a waiting list of 40 and
Yeah, I was gonna
50
say.
seems super simple and it's not causing any ruckus, we might be open to.
Even though we
bumping
think we're
that
that
a bit.
good, we're not gonna get it perfect.
Okay, did
Yeah.
we
So the
solve,
conduct,
wait, did we solve the, so we're not having, limiting anything, we're
I
not.
don't think we have to, because I think we took care of it there. Right, so
Well, we did not take
responsible,
care of 3 people in a row. We have
No.
not, we are not taking
but we
care of
have
that
responsible ownership, hopefully.
then. Okay,
Well, then we
Right, so-
revisit, we get a lot of complaints, through there's, too big of a cluster, then we go to,
It really doesn't matter if we, with the rest of the rules, and if they're following the rules, it really doesn't matter if there's 3
Should be
Airbnbs,
quiet,
if they're
yes.
quiet and they're respectful and
Makes
they're.
it 0 for bylaw.
yeah.
because honestly, we
Yeah.
really have not
Ah,
received a
what-
lot of complaints. We really have not received any complaints.
It's because we don't have a bylaw for it. If we're
Yeah, we
complaining
have no
against, we will,
bylaw,
uh,
yeah.
And no one calls us either to say.
Yeah. Okay.
Code of conduct?
Yes, for
Or
the
the
renter
renter?
and for the homeowner too.
well, the homeowners ultimately responsible for the code of conduct,
Yeah.
for their.
All,
No,
all
no.
owners are responsible for their tenants.
Yes.
Yes, but there's 2, right? So there's a checklist for the owner, and then there's code of conduct for the renter. So there's two separate things.
And I'm assuming we don't have to go through great detail on this because there's probably really.
Oh, there's
written.
tons of
Yeah,
examples.
and
and
just-
great,
Right, that's like
great
code of
things.
conduct, and then
Yeah.
we,
Yeah.
in that code of conduct, it's like, you won't be a nuisance.
It's
you
pretty
won't
standard
trespass.
stuff on.
Yeah.
And as far as noise
Yeah.
bylaw, please take care after.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And other than that, I don't.
But we should have bylaw looking at that. to see if
Yes,
it's OPP.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
but
So
then
that we
bylaw,
can-
we're gonna spend it in bylaw,
But we're gonna find and read it back,
Code of conduct.
right?
I guess we could put that kind of in the middle, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the licensee's code of conduct and the renter's code of conduct.
I gotta tell you, I am a fan of fines being like pretty stupid high, because especially what we're doing is. The first, like, same principle, right? Like, so it's education, so that's basically a warning. A fine, which is gonna be painful, so
Right.
like, it's
Won't
not
do it
like,
again.
yeah, cause if you're a corporation or like, they're all making money, so if you don't make it painful, be like. Yeah, so you're charging me a quarter of what I'm making tonight, who cares?
Did we discuss, is there a fee to these licenses?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
We threw out 1,500.
Yeah.
I'll throw out that.
I'm thinking 5,000.
1,500 is.
You never get.
Yeah, that's, I think that would
Yeah.
be.
Remember when they said $3
$1
grand? There's
million.
Yeah,
I was just joking.
Remember said 3,000, they thought they were the highest in Canada.
Time they were, or they were?
Yeah.
I'm fine.
What's
with
the
it.
average? 15?
15 to,
Yeah.
What's the lowest?
I can't answer that, I don't.
Oh, I don't know.
So there's a balance between, we go too high, now all of a sudden people have to rent like crazy to try and make the money.
or
Too
they,
low.
or they don't bother to register with us and just take their chances and pay the fine.
Yeah,
right?
for
Because it makes
sure.
it cheaper to pay
Right,
the
so
fine.
I'm
Well, I think
like-
our fines need to be higher than that.
Yeah,
there are.
Yeah, 100%. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
fines need to be.
So if it's $1,500, I think that's enough where it's like. People can make their money over the course of a year, it's not gonna like,
Sure, they're getting that a night.
right,
Well,
so.
there's also
No, we-
demerit points.
yes, there's a demerit system, right?
Right.
Do we want, we don't wanna get into that. I mean,
Do we even
that's 3 strikes and you lose your
There's
license.
samples.
We do the same as.
Yeah, no, but I
Do
think
the same as a
also-
trailer. 3 strikes, you're done.
But I think the demerit, I think there's merit in the demerit. system.
No, cause then you're loading up bylaw guy. He doesn't have time.
No,
for
I think
this.
you're actually making it easier for the bylaw guy, right? Cause he's got a checklist.
Instead of 3
Right.
strikes, you got 7 strikes, cause it
No,
goes to demerit points.
No, it's 3 strikes,
It's
but
all over
but
the-
it's just more,
It's
it's,
demerits.
but I think that people understand it. It is a system that's in place, it's a program, and I think the more parameters that people have, the more that they're gonna
I
understand
think
it.
it's too complicated.
So is it
3
the
strikes,
same
you're
as
done.
that, basically?
And so I'll tell you right now, every
2.
municipality that is on here has a demerit system.
So is it like the same as that, basically?
It's like this. it's
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
good to
well, we
see.
can say the educate, because I'm a big proponent of education.
If it's the same as that, why don't we do that?
So your first offense is like 2 demerit points or the base, right? 2 demerit points, and then your second offense is 4.
Yeah.
A bigger offense is like obstructing an officer.
What happens with demerit
It's
points in the end?
15.
How many demerit points are there?
You would have to,
I think there's 5 to
So
7.
why?
That's
So,
not our best.
education,
Fine.
education fine, and you lose your license. Yeah. Yeah, we're,
Doesn't get easier.
yeah, don't make it too complicated.
It-
1, 2, 3.
Not, I don't think
No,
it's
it is.
I
complicated.
think
Demerit
way
points are too
simpler to
complicated.
just go, here's, doesn't matter what you violated. You as,
Right.
you are the owner of the property, you are responsible to make sure it's operating within the parameters. Here's your violation, it's a warning. Here's your violation, it's a fine. My goodness, you still aren't taking this seriously, you no longer have a license. Boom.
Next.
And good news, we have other people on the waiting list that would love the opportunity to be able to run an Airbnb in North.
So, okay,
Not retrofitted?
what happens when we take his license and it's still renting out? What is our recourse then?
You don't have one for 2 years.
No, but,
Fine again. And fine again.
No license.
and then it just keeps going on the tax.
It's fine.
Okay,
Yeah, so no person shall operate a short-term rental in contraventional to any
Yeah,
of the restrictions, right? So they
That's one of
cannot.
the fees.
They
Yeah,
can't
I'm good
do
with
it.
that.
Yeah.
We should just do the penalties,
Yeah.
that's like.
just
over
like the
here.
trailers, yes.
This,
Yeah.
on this.
Same template.
And 2-year, no license or revoke for life.
Well, I
Give
think,
it a 2-year, we'll try 2-year and then,
well,
2
and
year and then life.
yeah, you get one shot.
2 years, and then if you
is-
work your way through the process again of like another warning, another fine, you lost your license, if you've done that twice, like clearly you're not the person we're looking to have. Yep.
okay, also, it's per owner. It's
Right.
not
Yeah.
per
No,
property.
you're
No,
right,
it's
yeah.
per
Okay,
owner.
so
Yeah.
it's per owner,
Yeah.
not per property.
Wait,
It's per owner.
so it's not your property.
Yeah, so if you run an Airbnb as at yours and you sell to me, I can't all of a sudden start running an Airbnb.
Yeah, I was looking at it the opposite way that. Well, I lost my license, but Holly will get a license.
Oh, yeah,
If
no.
it's Per.
Yeah, no.
How about occupied building dwelling? Only.
What does that mean, sorry?
Oh, yeah, it has to be,
Oh, yeah, of
course.
sorry, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Well, just saying, because there is a website, you can go and like go to, there's lots of them in Huntsville.
And stay in a trailer?
No, Treehouse.
Oh.
Well, and
Or
yurts
yurt.
and.
Yeah.
And
Those
actually, we have
geodomes
that here in the municipality.
You know,
Which
it's not
is-
legal.
Right,
It's not an
no,
occupiable development.
we can't encourage illegal dwellings.
so,
Okay, so you've,
I gotta-
Stuff in a camp before. At a campground, and that's fun, right?
yeah,
Or maybe a yurt or a geodome, like.
or a glamping, those.
Well,
glamping
go to a
things, yeah,
campsite
so-
there.
So,
Okay, so then maybe we need a campsite. License for like,
well,
what
part
is
of
that
it,
place? What's the place?
The glamping,
Can they get a
Oh,
license for
the
a trip?
gable or the.
No,
Again, for a term rental?
Yeah.
What's a big state?
Happens, yeah, that. So. Technically. Right now, so with the trailer bylaw, once you put in how many you're allowed to have, there would be a bylaw that we would accompany with that and say that anything above that would be considered a campground. So if you have two places, we're only allowed one trailer, so it can't, we've been advised that to put in a campground bylaw that would say if you have two accommodations or more on your property, you don't fall under the trailer, so you fall under a campground.
Right.
And then you have to rezone, and then it's
Right, we have
your
a
campground.
campground zone.
Because I don't wanna take away experiences, right, for people,
Yeah,
like,
Right.
if people live in the city and they wanna come up and. Camp
There.
somewhere, or stay in a yurt, or stay in a super rustic cabin, or a geodome, or
whatever,
whatever.
rustic cabin's okay, as long as
Cool
it's a
stuff
legal
is-
dwelling.
Well,
People- people
like a
allow
geodome
cottages.
is not a legal
Oh,
dwelling.
there's one of those.
But
too.
so
But
we,
people stay in those and they're
One of those
cool
things.
and fun and different.
Is it a legal dwelling?
we've had
Yeah, but
lots
how
of
do we-
people that come in and
So
talk
then we
to us,
just have a separate license for campgrounds. There's two.
yeah. And that's more of a tourist establishment, so we do
Right,
have people
yeah.
who come in and it's like, I wanna put 4 cabins on this property, I wanna put 4 and actually has been yurts. And we're like, okay, so here's the process, you have to go through the zoning
Yeah.
bylaw, well, not
Yeah.
goes on the property, you have to make
where,
sure you have the
where are
septic.
these, like,
They're all in
so,
the rule,
Yeah.
There's-
okay, so they're only
Like,
rural.
I know
Right,
one
yeah,
that's like
okay.
a,
No one
like a
does
farm-based
come to us like
program
at
type
Waterfront.
deal. Kids from the city come up, they stay in geodomes or yurts or whatever they have on the property. They help with the animals, they have a campfire, and then they go back to the city, right? Like,
But
so I don't
that-
wanna take away
But
experience.
that's a business, right?
It's a
That's
business.
a business.
So as long as we're not excluding these very small businesses of people that live on their property.
Well, perhaps we would create a system of business licensing.
Yeah,
cause that
Yeah,
would be
can't-
zoned as a tourist establishment, a camp
Tourist
and then. they
License
zone it.
or something.
When there's no license, there's no.
Like there's two, right? I just don't wanna exclude the two that have been operational and have done a great job.
But we just wanna make sure, like someone's not staying, like we're permitting people to stay where there's no wet certified stove, it's up against.
well, and
the-
that's that just, right, so that goes back to, the yurts, do they have proper fire control and fire codes
Honestly, I
and stuff,
don't
right?
know.
But I'm just saying, so then if we are saying that they're this, like we've got
We're
a
endorsing
fire,
that.
yeah, we've got
So
a
that
fire
seems like
code
a
for
totally separate.
but
Well, it
it's
could be
a
licensed as a tourism establishment, and then there would be,
So let's just
regulation
start-
that they have to.
right,
So we start with trailers and short-term leases
Mhm.
and then keep a recreational facility or whatever on
Right.
there.
Yeah, if they register as that, they don't have to, that's not even considered
No.
like a rental anymore, it's a separate thing altogether.
Separate thing
It's a
altogether.
camp establishment, yeah, so we could create that.
Conviction, so. if
something that I kind of like from them in webinar was that instead of putting in, you need a building inspection, a fire inspection, this, that. They made the owner sign on a declaration. Once again, they do a blitz.
Yeah.
And then. Oh, no, we didn't have a,
Right,
You
so the
lied
onus
to
is,
us.
yeah, the onus is on the homeowner to disclose,
right,
yeah.
Well, why not have when they register?
so you have 50 people registering, they have 14 days, they need 50.
We're not gonna go
Inspections in 14
inspect,
days.
they're gonna tell us that they're in
Yes,
compliance.
yeah,
And then
there's
we
a
do blitzes when
checklist.
we have time.
Yeah, there's
Why
gonna be.
would we even do that? Why would you have them prove that they've had the still wet certified and?
But it's not just wet certification, like there's probably.
There's a
less
whole
than
checklist, there's an entire checklist.
I know, but outside of our building official,
Fire prevention
they should
officer.
be giving us the documentation. We
Right.
shouldn't be going out.
No,
doing the
I
work.
think what
Cause then we have to hire someone to do it.
No, but I think what we need is them signing off a declaration saying that they have all of these documents. And then when we show up, if and when we show up, they provide us with the
But
documents.
if they're gonna sign off that they have it, why not just give it to us?
No, because that's not.
That's not pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I may not have it for
I agree with
anything.
Donna, that's short and sweet. Like,
I don't want
It's
it.
also
I
pain in the
just
ass
want
for us
them-
to have like proof of it all.
Exactly.
It's
I-
Kind of no different than a fire permit. We're not going out to inspect to say that you have a fire ring, you have sand, you have a hose, you're that far away from the
But
house.
when we do our blitzes and so what this will do is this will allow our bylaw officer to run a program and he can have, and so I visited this address on this date, this address on this date, so he can time manage all of that.
Like
And
how is like.
Of all the
our-
applications, they have to bring a site plan.
yes,
So
there's
show
a
all
whole
the
list of
bedrooms,
things.
where all
I
your fire
understand the site
extinguishers
plan,
are.
but I still
CO2.
Agree with that.
So what do you want?
The building inspector goes in and do a blitz or whatever.
Right.
He's not certified to say if that stove is certified or not.
No, when he goes in, this person, there's
Here's
a
my
whole
site plan.
package here, there's a
Then
package.
Then why
here.
not just give the package when?
Cause who
Your
wants it? I
license.
want it, the building inspector can go in and.
Just look at it, make sure.
That's
verify
right,
it,
that
and it's there, and then-
information has to be
I
available,
don't wanna load the building inspector up on a bunch of crap.
but I think that's what you're doing
The-
by
the other way.
inundating him
Because
with all
he's
these
got his hands
packages.
full with all the other things he's got on the go,
That's
so
right,
we,
so what
we
he,
don't wanna chase him out.
so what he does now is he's got a nice program, so he'll say, so here, this is what my Monday looks like. Oh, I'm gonna do this trailer, I'm gonna do this short-term rental, I've got this building thing that I have to do, and this, right?
Do you know what the summer looks like for a building inspector? He's not gonna have time for this.
Okay, but does he have time then for this much paperwork that he has to go through?
That's why I'm saying, don't. If the applicator, the guy coming for the application has all the paperwork, go through it right then and there, and he doesn't have to go out and do blitzes and.
I think we're saying the same thing, but differently. No, we are.
We're
So what
asking for it up
documents
front.
that we're
We're asking for it.
the wet and, so.
Well,
there's a
whatever
wet
it-
stove
whatever
and a
documents-
So you
I
just
mean-
want it on file here?
It may be on file
So-
already, to be honest.
Yeah, do you want it on file?
So there's wet certified, but I mean, there still has to be the blitz.
You
to
can't
make
do
sure
it
the
back-
smoking alarm is working and that, and like.
Well, that's the fire.
Yeah,
department.
Yeah, it's the fire
Yeah.
department,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we do this SCRs for fire prevention.
So the bottom line, the homeowner is signing off and declaring that they've got all
On
of
fire
this.
building,
Yes.
meet code.
Yes,
Yeah, I think Donna's right. I don't think we need a copy of this,
no,
Well, alls I know,
but
is
I
don't
also,
jam up the building.
but I also don't think we're gonna send a staff member there to be like,
No,
here's the 17 documents I need to see right now.
But I don't
if it
think
becomes an
the-
issue, or if it's
I
a
think it's-
concern, like, they would have to go to the property.
but our
owners.
recommendation
No.
to the homeowner is you need to have this package and it needs to be available
Yeah.
if we come to see it.
On
if it-
request.
And if it is not available, then you're in violation.
Or
Like
you
that-
have to have a binder with your license and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly,
absolutely.
that's what I'm.
That's
saying.
what she
So
said.
that's not what you said.
No, that is
Well,
exactly what I said. I didn't say.
Not
binder.
exactly.
I didn't say
Well, you
binder.
know,
I said
Okay.
a stack of papers like this would be at the residence.
I
and
think
then-
you said do a tang, it's not the same thing. Remember those?
You put down Donna is right on there.
I think she just said I need Advil, is what she meant.
Yeah.
Should we,
Yes.
only two per bedroom?
Yes, and is it only two, period, or, cause it,
To adults?
yeah, no, or,
I
well,
think there was something like two per bedroom.
it is always
And
two per
children
bedroom.
under
In
two.
one,
Two or
in
something.
one, there was children under bedroom, or under two, didn't count.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the other one, it was two people, that's it.
No, I think you should have a child in the bed.
No, yeah.
And
the
then
pull-out
they,
couch
and
count.
then they allow you a couch or a sofa bed.
Yeah.
Some municipalities also, no matter how many bedrooms, limits the amount of people.
Yeah, so only 10 people.
And
Oh, absolute number of cars.
Yes.
Yeah, well, there's a
And-
whole parking thing.
that they have to.
Right, and you have to have
Yeah.
hard parking, you're not parking
Yeah,
on the ground.
there's
Basically,
there's a whole parking section that.
Not
we
parking
put
on
in.
the road,
Yeah.
and, you know, they gotta park
You
actually.
have to park on a actual driveway.
I think the term's always like a hard surface. or
Yeah.
something. Specific
So there's a
to-
parking section, there's a water
Bedrooms?
only access provision.
Two per bedroom?
Two per bedroom plus
What's it, under two?
under two.
No, I
But-
don't like that, I just like two. per
No, cause if you're going away, you're gonna want your kid in your room. I don't know. The kid that's under two.
bedroom. No, no, all,
Kid
all.
Am I on a boat?
All
About
this is
that.
doing is, it's just for occupancy. It has nothing to do with the
Yeah.
kid in your bedroom. Your kid can still sleep in the bedroom. It's just two per bedroom. Okay,
Well,
If you
so,
have two
so if
kids
it-
under two, you
so if
need
it's
two
a
bedrooms.
3 bedroom, if it's a 3 bedroom house, then 6 people are allowed to be there, including a kid. That's all, including the
Okay,
baby.
but
That's what that.
When it says,
yeah.
when you say a maximum of 10 people in a house, you have to have a pretty big.
Right,
function.
yeah, my
Like
bedrooms.
2 bedrooms, up to a maximum of 10, there is one SDR.
Okay,
here
but
that
where's the
holds
square
12.
footage? Yeah, but okay,
Yeah,
I
but
think
what-
there's a certain square footage that needs to go along with that.
No,
But it
no,
makes
but.
it not a party.
But the point is, yeah, that it limits the amount of people that you can have at any given time.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, babies don't count, kids under 2, kids under 3, whatever it is.
It's under 2.
3.
I don't think we
No.
would even know, to be honest.
Pardon?
When they go to bed that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that 3 people can't sleep in the bed, like the kid can't sleep in the bedroom. What this is the regulation is it's for occupancy.
10 individuals in a 5-bedroom home, 8
No, no, no,
individuals in a
no.
4-bedroom home.
The
Right,
the
right,
maximum,
right,
and we
that's-
can set a
Yeah, we
maximum.
could say like up to 10 only. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if
That's
it's
what I'm
not
saying.
8
If you're gonna have
bedrooms.
10, you need to have 5 bedrooms, you're
Yeah.
gonna have 8 people, you have to have 4 bedrooms.
You
Yes,
know what I mean?
But you have to have at least 5 bedrooms for that,
yeah,
or 4 bedrooms plus a, so.
I know some bylaws are like 2 per bedroom and you're maxed at 10 people,
Yeah,
period.
but you gotta have
Yeah.
a certain.
Because now you're not no party.
Yeah.
yeah. So what they're doing is they don't want 15 people at one residence regardless.
We're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We are, but it's getting complicated.
No, it's
Not
just, we're
really.
talking like women.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think sure, if they have a house with 5 bedrooms and they wanna put 10 people in.
Sure, but
great.
you can't have a house with 2 bedrooms and try to jam 10 people.
No,
in it.
no, there's a maximum of 2 people per bedroom.
That's
2
right.
people per bedroom.
So if you only have 2
only
bedrooms,
up to
your
10
maximum is
people
4
per
people.
residence.
Yeah, so the absolute maximum is 10.
Yeah.
And we
But there is one that holds
allow a
12.
couch. A sofa couch counts, like,
No.
or just bedrooms?
Bedrooms. Keep
Okay.
it simple.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
3-bedroom
there-
house.
no, there's a couch and a sofa
So if
bed.
you rent a 2-bedroom house, most of these small places are only 2-bedroom.
You can have
houses.
4, I don't think you count kids.
So you,
Pull out couch.
Nancy, and Avery could go,
Yeah,
but your brother-in-law and his wife and his kid.
correct, they can get their own place. I think that's pretty
Or
good.
you
You could chip in and get a bigger
Sofa
home.
bed, I think we allow the sofa bed and the sofa.
I think
Yeah.
we can chip in and get a bigger Airbnb that has 4 bedrooms.
Is
I
there-
just think that there's not a lot of bigger.
Then I better go to a hotel, eh?
Better stay at home.
I just know from like booking places. Sure, it's ideal for everybody to have a bedroom, but that's not always. And
So 1 sofa bed?
young kids don't.
Right.
One
There's
sofa
only
bed.
in the, in one sofa.
So really, it's 2 per bedroom plus an additional 2.
Up to only 10,
So you could have 4 bedrooms and have 10 people?
right?
Yes. Sure.
But
And that
other-
live-in,
some bylaws also.
if you have a
Me
child
too,
under
if they're in the
3, and
daytime.
12, if you have 2 children.
I- I am fine.
It looks
with
like
not
if you
counting
brought
children.
No, your children.
4 adults and 4
No,
babies
your
that are under
children
2.
would count in the 10.
No, I'm okay not to. I'm under 2.
They don't even count on planes, you're gonna fucking make them count in bed and breakfasts? They don't even count on planes.
Under 2, no, under
You're-
1,
You don't have to buy a seat for you.
no,
Yeah,
not under
they're
2.
just free.
Right,
They just
if
come
they
on.
sit on your lap.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
they
we're
don't
gonna
get
sleep
their
in
own
your
bed. They don't get their own bed.
So put that in there,
Sleep
they
on
have
mommy
to
and
set
daddy
on
On
the-
the lap.
They have to be able to sit on your lap,
Two
it
under-
would not count,
Sleep in your bed.
Under 2 and sleeping.
okay, under.
Okay.
I'm just trying to look at like families, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of families coming up from, again. from-
Yeah,
from
and
south.
2 families like to vacation together,
Right.
so
So
8
like 2
people,
couples with
that's right.
2, 3 young kids.
Yeah.
Like now you're at the limit for a 3-bedroom house, right? And again, there's not too many of
Yeah,
those.
listen, as soon as your kid's 3, you gotta get a different house anyways. So under 2 is easy because it's easy to have them in the same bedroom with you.
Yes,
You know what I
you
mean?
can put a
After
blow up
that,
mattress on the floor.
after that, your kids are running around,
Our
kids
children's
make
not
as much
with
noise
us,
as parents at
so
that
they're
point,
on the
you gotta
floor.
be careful you're not overpopulating the places, so.
And no,
Under 2?
no tenants.
Uh,
route.
What we're doing?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
outside of the dwelling.
Escape
Yeah,
plans,
yeah,
okay.
absolutely, yeah.
How about fire escape plans?
Yeah. So we still have to talk about water.
Water access only.
Yeah, water access only provisions. We don't have many of those. Septic sewage inspections, water, recycling and garbage. We talked about the DRP. With the
The-
consent
the
form, the DERP.
How about
Can
an
you tell me what the
information?
water
packet?
access only
Yeah,
consideration?
well, so.
Yes. What is-
Yeah, what is the water access only consideration? So what are we talking about there?
It's mostly.
Oh, because it's for parking really too, that if there's water access only, where is this person parking? For the water
Oh,
access?
to be able to get on the boat.
Yes,
I
yes,
see
there's
what you're
other
saying.
provisions
In
for
most
that.
bylaws, there's also a provision that a boat must remain with the
Yeah,
rental.
yeah.
Yeah,
For-
so I've
For
read,
fire escape.
I've been
Yeah.
to places on islands before, and you
Yeah.
park like at the marina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you pay for parking or whatever.
Which makes sense, except we don't have a marina.
Well, we also
Or
don't
parking.
have very many water.
What happens at, okay, here's a
We
prime
have a
example.
handful.
What about at,
I don't think
Town
any
Lake,
of them are an SDR.
where you, at the government dock there?
Yeah.
There's islands, where do if someone's renting an Airbnb on those islands, where do people park?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they would have a, like a parking lot somewhere. I don't think they're parking in the road.
Which islands, on where?
Just say Town Lake, they're at the government dock, people have islands, people.
Can I
rent
just
those
say, are
out.
we gonna twist ourselves into pretzel for something that's a 1% issue?
Right.
You asked about it.
No, you kept saying we have to talk about water access. I didn't know
I
what
just.
the,
I think-
I honestly didn't know what the
Okay.
considerations were.
I'm just going through the list.
I'm like, I feel like it's a no.
It is a non-
We've never.
And they have to tell us where they're parking.
Yes.
So they have to tell us that they have their
Yeah.
parking spot organized.
What about the
Septic
septic?
doesn't matter, because the owner just needs. to-
No, they have to have inspections
Well, these
though,
are-
right? So that's part of our package.
Right?
Yeah, okay,
So
it's gotta get,
I find it's touchy myself, just because I've been trying to do something for the municipality. Your septic is based on how many bedrooms, how many
Bedrooms.
fixtures,
Yeah. Yes,
right,
and bathrooms, right?
right.
Yeah.
So
So-
should we be concerned if their septic can hold this company
But it could,
Them,
didn't it?
they would have to get it
based on?
cleaned every 2 years.
Yeah.
or whatever.
Based on the fact that the house is built with 4 bedrooms, the
Yeah.
septic would have to be
Well,
that
and they
big
should-
anyways.
They should have to prove that they've had their septic cleaned every two.
Right,
cleaned every
and
2
that's
years.
the, so there should be a septic inspection as part of the package in the binder.
There's no
I don't think
septic really
inspection.
inspection. Just a cleanup,
So, yeah, so
Just
you can have a.
have a
your
receipt.
receipt.
Yeah, that you've had it
Yes.
pumped.
Yeah, your receipts.
Because most people do that every 2 years.
I do mine every 5 years.
Yeah.
There was new rules that
I mean,
came out.
it's only you two,
Long,
right?
yeah,
You guys are
right.
Conservation Authority. If there's only like 2 people living in the house and you have a septic, like for me.
Ours is only this big, our
Yeah,
septic.
It depends on the size of it. Sometimes they say it's like 5 years because it needs
It's
time
5 years
to-
for me, every
work.
5 years.
Yeah.
But I think
You
it's
need the
fair
bacteria to keep.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
they
So
have
you don't,
a
if you
receipt
do
every 2 years if they're renting it out.
Yeah.
because of-
Yeah, receipt every 2
Yeah,
years
they'll
rental
use it.
thing, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about people that come to visit in the daytime?
That's fine, as long
Yeah,
as
it's
they
fine.
park.
Yeah,
Yeah,
As long as
they're
there's parking and that they're not
That's
sleeping.
right.
How
So
about-
there's 10 people at the one house and
Yeah.
they invite
Yeah.
6 over for the daytime,
And
Yeah.
they're pumping their
I'll
stuff.
plan on a barbecue for 35 people.
right? So I think in some of the bylaws I just mentioned, this is reiterated with
This septic,
sleeping,
yeah,
Sleeping.
yes,
right?
And,
Yes.
And also when we have it on the GIS, the responsible person, the name, the number, this is also there for the public to say, hey. They got money. Let's see.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
noise times, right? Like I know we have a noise bylaw that,
yeah.
like, no excessive noise at any point in time ever.
Mhm.
So in the renters code of conduct, they have like provisions for noise and residential. homes.
Perfect.
Well, in 2 of these bylaws, they have the owner of the STR shall keep registry of users for municipality, for the municipality, so that there's a registry of everyone that goes through their
So if
house.
we have to hold somebody accountable.
Yes.
we-
Well, that's also in the
Mhm.
the Hotel Act or whatever.
Yeah,
that act
I
is.
think
But
that's
that's-
great. If
yeah.
something of criminal nature happens in
Yep,
our municipality,
there's a
it's great that we
registry.
have
Right.
a registry to
Yeah,
provide
Yeah.
the law.
We have to have it or the responsible.
The homeowner.
The home.
the homeowner,
The
yeah,
landlord.
so the STR shall keep the
Yeah,
registry.
sorry, it's the royal we,
Yeah,
not that we.
Public info, right, you said public
Uh,
information?
like an
An
information
information
package
Yeah.
perhaps, so. They know how to call the responsible homeowner,
What's around,
the fire
Businesses,
escape
bylaws.
plans,
What
good noise
pizza place is better?
bylaws.
Oh,
Fireworks.
yeah.
Let's listen to
Well,
both, they can make their own.
But I
decision.
think as far as fireworks, I mean,
I do like this fact that there has to be a business registration.
Business
I do
business
like
records.
in that information package.
With you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
whatever
information-
information package
a
that
business
is.
record.
Gotta promote
It should be-
our local.
Yeah, I really like that.
what do you think of fireworks?
Yeah, so fireworks and fire ratings, like it's up to the owner to make sure that the renters know what the fire rating
So-
is and.
The two that we rented last year, they had like their little rating like you'd see
Oh,
on the
right,
road.
yeah,
Folks stayed on the door, so whoever was looking after it, cleaning it, they turned the dial or whatever.
Yeah.
Active fire rating, it needs to be posted. but
yeah,
still, we
yeah,
don't even
so
have
this
to
is
look
all
up
owners
visit
and
there
renters of short-term rental
When we
companies
walk in.
are responsible for compliance and informing guests of fire danger ratings and fireworks restriction and all other town bylaws, but not limited to the following: noise bylaw, clean yards, whatever bylaws we
That
have,
is,
right?
But that's,
So-
I'm kind of think fireworks should just be limited to like Canada.
The holidays.
Yeah,
Oh, listen, I actually think we need to be talking about that as a municipality outside the short-term rentals, the amount of random fireworks that go
Yeah,
off,
I
it's
agree.
like a fire hazard,
Yeah,
we're afraid of things going off. Like we can't have a fire pit, because that's too dangerous.
I know,
We're gonna shoot
randomly shooting.
fire
yeah.
into
Yeah.
like fireworks
lands
into
in
the
the bush, it just, when people live on the lake and there's someone's renting a house out all the time and everybody from.
Every
everybody's
single
coming around,
weekend, it's.
there's wildlight fireworks.
Yeah, cause everybody bought $500 in the fireworks,
Yeah.
but it's not just a one-time deal, it's every
So
single
it's with
year.
years usually, right? Canada Day, Victoria Day?
But
Yeah,
I
I
think
think that's, yeah.
People are going,
And-
moving towards light shows now too, instead of
Yeah, yeah.
fireworks, right?
Yeah,
So I want you to buy,
So
I
that
want to
one
buy the
page,
municipality and whack a drone so that we can in Canada,
You could do
we can
that.
have a display of drones.
Yeah.
What's that?
What?
I need
Water
you to buy the
testing.
municipality
Yeah.
a whack a drone.
Oh.
So
Annual
that on
water
Canada,
testing
you have like.
on-
Is it annual, is it
I'm
monthly?
on.
They do
Well,
that,
actually, there's something like the Clean Water Act has something in it about people that. Rent their place for tourism, that they must do water. testing.
Monthly,
Yes.
once a
Right.
month, yeah.
Yes,
I had
No
to go
different,
once
no
a
different than
month
what we
for
have to do
phosphorus.
here. Cause it's
Yeah,
commercial.
I don't know, take the sample, bring it in,
So that one page information thing though, it just relies mostly on websites, right? So like your, hey, our landfill is here,
Right.
these hours, here's a list of our bylaws.
Yeah.
On the website, like, we're not giving them all.
So
well,
there's,
I think it's up to the homeowner, right? So before the person comes, I'm sure the homeowner sends their renter all of this information. But they might wanna have a hard copy on the
But
premises as
it's
well.
not like this, because no one's gonna pay attention.
I know when we had a problem with garbage, cause people rent and then the landfill isn't open, they just throw their garbage off to the side of the road and.
I think some of them require like a plan, like a landfill
waste
plan or a
management.
garbage plan.
I think you need that, some.
You must promote recycling.
Oh, yeah, no, there has to be.
So when I rented a couple
recycling.
years ago, I had to bring our garbage to their landfill. And we had one tiny garbage bag, and there was 8 of those for like a week and a half. We had one tiny garbage bag and one thing of recycling, when we got there, they had a clear bag thing and. The rent, like the place that we were renting from, only gave us
Black
a
card.
black.
But
bag.
see,
So
that's
when we
up
got there,
to
we had
them, they should know what the landfill
But they
requires.
literally left the hours and the address in the past, so we had to either take it with us when we left, if the landfill wasn't open. Or we had to
Yeah.
go when the landfill was
So,
open,
yeah, I was gonna say, how did you return the pass?
so we, like. Luckily, we were Sunday to Sunday, their landfill was Saturday, we took all the garbage
Yeah.
on Saturday, and then Sundays are a little tiny bit left. just like
So we
this.
need a town
But-
not liable clause, so the township is not liable, and we need insurance, because we have to.
Oh, yeah,
prove that
there
they
comes
have
that
tons, $2 million worth of insurance, 2 million.
liability.
Everything's 3 now.
Okay, 3 million,
3 or
okay,
5.
I
5.
seen some 5, I seen.
Lots of two.
Seven.
Yeah,
But
I seen
Lots
lots
of 5 and not
5.
to 2.
Yeah, lots
Well,
of twos.
Okay, well, if
Can't
it's 5, why
five now.
do we stay with 5?
Like, I bet you. If I was gonna open up short-term rental place, I bet you I go to an insurance company, they're gonna say, how many nights of the year are you renting it out, how many people, whatever. The difference between 2 million liability and 5 million liability will be peanuts.
Okay. Okay. Let's do 5.
Here,
So like, what's
That
the
one?
worst that could happen, right? What's the worst that can happen?
someone
That
drowns
can get
in the
They
lake.
start a fire at
drowned
4
or
p.m.
forest
and they
fire,
and
and
forest fire
this
starts,
makes
and-
half of ours, so that's kind of what you gotta think about, right?
Or if somebody gets hurt in some house. and
That's-
they never work
yeah.
again.
But
That's where
it's,
that comes from.
yeah,
Like the current club this year was $29,000 for insurance. You don't have to lie, you were pretty close to having to use it. $29,000 for seniors to stand on the ice. It's really really.
so we don't have to talk about the appeals section or the
No.
comments or anything.
No, I
like
got-
that. Yeah,
We got rid of that.
administrative penalties, right?
Watch my body.
We only have this meeting.
I want the deadline here.
Needs a lot, it's not.
Bylaw presentation, education, hard start
Yeah,
time.
so are we going to do, are we collecting fees this year? Or are we just doing a straight registry?
Because in my opinion,
I'm
we're
sorry
not
about
just
that.
one season town.
No.
Right, we have snowmobiling, we have
Yeah.
ice fishing.
Yeah, sorry, Donna, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh,
hard-
Are we
hard
collecting
time.
saying,
fees
like,
this
are
year?
we collecting fees this year, or are we just registering?
I'm okay to just register
Me
if
too, I'm
that
okay
means
to
that we
register.
get.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah, get your info, we can
Yeah.
build a good database.
So it's registered for a price or?
No,
Half.
Well,
Oh,
hang on,
okay.
yeah, I actually like,
$700.
I do, because if we make it free, nobody
Mhm.
does it. I know
Yeah.
that seems
If
silly,
we make
but
it,
but
I hate using prorated, if we make it this year super cheap, knowing that the fees are actually this next year. We can say, if you register and pay your fee this year, you have first right refusal next year.
okay. So, yeah, and if we determine the fee, we'll do 50% this year,
Yes.
and then.
Or how about you get automatic renewal?
No,
not automatic.
No,
You
Oh, like
have to
we don't
apply,
have to.
you get the right of
reapply.
first refusal. Like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't have a license this year and you're in compliance, it's not a lottery like, oh, I might get a license next year. You're gonna get a license next year. It's when somebody
Yeah.
forfeits their license.
that's when one
That-
opens up.
that-
That'll push people to register this year, that'll
Yes.
build your info.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like the money will be kind of minimal to them because they're really planning for succession.
Yeah, I think
But
half.
You think $100 for a registration,
$700.
$750.
$750?
So it's $1,500 then?
Yeah,
Well, when are we gonna be done this and right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when's the,
Hopefully,
June?
So they've already lost,
Yeah.
me too, before they've lost a weekend in June.
No, they haven't
People-
lost anything.
They've made all that money
They've
already.
made all
Yeah,
that money.
they've made
now,
money
well,
just
Still
yeah,
renting it out regardless.
Of course. Are you kidding? You think they're stopped?
yeah.
You think they stopped because we're doing this? I don't.
Yeah.
think so.
My day at this point, in time was 16 years old. What do you?
I was hoping for a minute, I was like, wait a minute, you're.
So if they get the first right in 2025.
Yeah.
Do they get the first right in 2026?
Yep. As long as they're in compliance, as long as,
Good standing.
yeah.
we're going to review that.
And we gotta have a date, like that they have to confirm and pay by this date, or like somebody else could snake it out for Monday.
So can we say February, the last day in February,
For what?
registrations to the year?
Well,
No, it's
For
a January,
2025.
but it's a January to December. It's a January to
Okay.
December. It's a calendar
yeah,
year
yeah,
registry.
Okay,
but the earlier, so the hosted, they
Well, there
have
should be a
14
date that you're
days.
allowed to apply though.
If
or
they
you
haven't-
start applying all the time?
January 1st is like.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if
Or
within the
whatever.
14 days, the
January
hosted have
3rd.
not reapplied for theirs, it goes into the market of like,
Correct.
now the unhosted,
Correct.
whatever.
But I
like,
think our
it's-
dates, we gotta let Nikki decide our dates because she would know
Yeah, yeah,
who's busy
something,
when.
whatever it is.
And these guys are gonna.
The end of the year is a rough one.
Okay,
So
well,
like,
like,
it might not be January, it might be February, it might not. be
December
February,
might not be
March.
so
Bad.
we could go March to March.
I think like that's not up to us, I think we just.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
My
looking at
question
it.
though is
figure it
that
out.
new
Yeah.
education process, when's
Yeah.
our? we're
You
doing
tell
the
us what
first
needs to be in the
reading,
bylaw, it needs to be in the bylaw, you tell us.
What's
Yeah.
our deadline?
Almost every single
For
one
this
of
year?
them have a calendar.
Yeah, oh, I like
They-
calendar,
Like,
I
let's
like
roll it.
calendar, it's just when will they apply?
We
What
still want to
days
do
will be
the
14 days?
first reading, right?
Right,
And
you want it-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
December
next
first
council.
Well, but wait a
And then
second.
we're closed for a
You
week
want
in
my
December,
line?
Or
so.
do you do January? to-
Whatever we can do, like however we
So I
can
was
go.
thinking they can
Okay,
start in
but wait a
January.
second,
But over here, we're giving them until December,
but that's
September.
different.
education, or September.
September.
What did I write? Or is it
September.
right?
September.
September to get their stuff
I
off.
think we're
Oh,
talking
yeah, right
about,
here.
Two different.
Educate to September 30th.
we're talking about two different
Yeah.
things.
Two different things.
I'm saying, hey, let's get this organized and out and in front of people as quick as we can.
Yes.
them actually paying and registering, I think could be a separate thing on that, right? Like, I don't wanna waste any more time on this, so whenever we can get it out,
Yeah,
let's do it.
But, so sorry, this 14-day thing is only for this year. This isn't in perpetuity.
No, it's in perpetuity.
No, why is this in perpetuity?
Well, because as soon as you have a hosted that gives up their license, maybe they move out of their municipality.
Right?
It's not opening up to anybody, it's gonna open up to hosted people.
It's gonna open up to a waiting list, I would imagine,
A whole
so,
way of hosted,
okay, so then you're having 3 different waiting lists,
absolutely.
I see.
yeah,
right? Okay, that's fine, as long as we spell that out.
Cause if not, okay, we have all these hosted.
Okay, so we
and
have an
then-
order of consideration.
Right,
Yeah.
and then
Okay,
if
so
we have all
do
these
the order of
hosted, and
consideration.
then because we've fulfilled all the hosted, now all of a sudden we have a wait list of only corporations. Hosted gives up corporation, hosted gives up corporation, hosted gives up
Okay,
corporation.
Okay,
It'll never get. to
so we do have an order of
At that point,
consideration.
so if we're doing a.
Right, this,
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
and
Well,
that.
if we have those, if we start,
But
well, if we
it's
start at
just that
50 and we're
happens for the
confident we're
waiting
gonna get
list as
40
well,
this year,
right? So that's
then
what
it works
waiting
well, a
list
couple other people are like, hey, that works well, I'm gonna do it. Eventually, your wait list will just be hosted people, I would think, and it'll never get down to the corporation. And I think that's gonna go fine, you know.
Once we report back to council and say, I don't think this 50 is gonna work, we have like 30 on wait, or. Maybe we have 100 on wait, or.
Yeah, we had to start with the numbers.
30 on wait isn't a bad thing, cause then we can test to see is 50 still feel good in the municipality,
Yeah,
is 50 the right number?
Yeah,
But
because-
we'll
yeah.
probably balloon it to 80.
Yeah, but just
Right.
because there's 30 people waiting,
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't mean that we're going
yeah. We have to make sure
We're going to
that,
the farm.
that's.
that we
right.
haven't negatively
Right.
impacted the character of neighborhoods, we haven't, right?
And on a positive note, with Nikki and I talked today, like this could be, like it's a great resource for people to go on our GIS system, they're like, oh, where are the Airbnbs? And they can look at them without even going to the Airbnb website, cause I can call the responsible person.
promote too.
Right. And
Who's
they'll
doing this?
promote their.
So,
I'm
so
sharing
did
this
we
with
talk
you.
about the stay maximum then? Are we gonna do a 30-day or a 28?
Yeah,
I said 28.
days, okay.
And are we doing a maximum number of nights?
I don't know. if
Think you can
regulate
manage?
that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could through this registry if you wanted to do that, but.
I like.
I see. Your license Like whatever, it is. I just see it in a lot of places
Yeah.
where. Like I've seen a few that are seasonal and I hate that, like
Yeah.
you can only rent it out in the summer for the winter, like
No,
that's dumb.
no.
But I've seen a lot where it's like, hey, you can only rent it out
130 days.
100 years a
Yeah,
year, or whatever.
yeah.
But
If they're paying a fee, why are we limiting?
Yeah, I wouldn't, I don't think.
They're paying for their
I
license.
just keep it on the back burner for future.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can,
they-
see how it goes.
Yeah.
I was just going by what I've seen then.
No,
Yeah,
I get it.
but I think most of them actually have,
But if I'm buying the house next to me and I'm gonna run it as an Airbnb. The difference does it make that I have,
well, it makes a difference maybe to me
Should
if I live next door to you and every single weekend there's a
To-
different person.
To be
that's
fair, I
living-
think our community is very different than most of the household that people are renting it every weekend. I think, we're not. Let's go there, we're not. So
I think we can revisit it if it becomes an issue, like that's if what we feel is we've missed the mark and we've impacted the character of neighborhoods. We could look to
I think
actually,
it's harder to scale down than it is to scale up. Yes, so I
Like
think
that.
we limit and then if we find that that's, if whatever.
I mean, to the same thing that I just said, how many short-term rental, better rental places in Bonfield are already renting 100 a year?
I'd love to know,
Probably none,
I would love
Yeah,
to
we
know.
would never, we don't know.
right?
Like
But
we
we
just
know-
touched
We
on
know there's
Pan,
Airbnb people now,
Stats
actually
Canada
have
said
it.
the average
like, let's.
SCR
get
is
150
rented
we-
3.5
Yeah,
to
yeah.
4 nights a week.
Yeah, but
Doesn't say every week,
No,
But that's
and that's
different.
the other thing,
municipalities, that's
like
not-
your
that's
stuff,
just the Canada.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
your
So,
stats
like-
don't include vacancies either.
like that
right?
includes
So they-
Collingwood, but I imagine there is very little empty nights in Collingwood, so that's gonna skew it big time.
Yeah.
So if we made it 100 nights a year, I bet you that doesn't impact anybody, and then to Donna's,
How come we're doing that, Bob?
Oh, just, again, it's about the, maintaining the character of the neighborhood.
What I would wanna do is we have some people who were at the town hall that are clearly live in the community, are running Airbnbs. Is 100 nights reasonable to them?
think 130.
Well, is 130 nights reasonable time? Are they going, well, I currently do 200 nights a year. Okay, well then obviously now why would we, and it's working, why would we restrict it? More than that.
Something
If
that's
I would
probably
just like,
restricted
I would,
that night.
I'm okay
Oh,
that,
no,
instead of arbitrarily picking a number, I'd love to be able to figure out. What's happening now and what's.
like
working.
next year we'll know by the registry of visitors.
Right,
Mhm. And hopefully they're watching, so someone will tell us.
please let us know.
Yes.
And please don't tell us that you rent it 365 nights a year,
Yeah.
because that's clearly not true.
We heard that, because we did get the feedback that the 3 or 4 nights was too much.
Sorry, what?
What?
My mother-in-law runs an Airbnb personally,
Sure,
or she does, she's hosted. They have the upstairs and I have to put that downstairs. There's probably a good 2 or 3 nights a week that it's not, but it's
Yeah.
almost every week.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So if it's 2 or 3 nights a week times 52 weeks a year, you're looking at 100 and.
So it's
Some,
150.
So I think Don was right. I think we set a
I think
Night?
that's it.
high. So that we probably never ever have to touch it again. And then if it becomes an issue, then we can
so what do
lower
we
it.
think, 100, so this 3 nights a week, times 52 weeks a year,
When do they have to give
Four,
us
it's 4
this?
nights.
So we know how many
Yeah.
nights it's gonna.
or times.
When they go to renew,
It's 208,
For a year.
when they go to renew.
But that's 52 weeks a year.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that it's not 52 weeks a year that we want them to rent 4 nights a week.
No, but you were saying the average is 1 night a week, sorry, I based it off 1
Yeah,
night.
yeah, the average stay is 4 nights a week, but that doesn't account for how many weeks
Oh,
out
Okay.
of the year
So-
that,
so if we did, the average is 3, you're saying
the average.
every week, but it's
Four.
usually about 3 nights that are
Yeah.
vacant or
Yeah.
3 nights that's
Because
occupied.
usually there's a day she gaps it, right, because you have to clean it all.
So is
And
it
then,
3 nights, sorry, is it 3 nights a week that it's vacant or 3 nights a week it's a?
It's
occupied?
4
3
nights.
nights is
it's
vacant,
rented,
so
yeah.
4
So
nights.
4 it's rented, so that we're back to the.
No.
208.
But again, it's not rented 4 nights every week.
No,
That's-
it's not.
It's not every week.
No.
but
Okay,
it's on a
so throw
basis,
an average
it
of
is,
that
but
even.
130 days is the average. That's the
130
most, that's
divided by
what I've
52.
seen in the
So
Bible.
it's 2.5, in the bylaws for sure, I'm trying to make it practical for our municipality, so it's saying 2.5 nights per week on average. Is what you would have your.
Yeah,
But
but.
I think it's gonna be 4 or 5 days a week, June, July,
No,
August.
no,
September.
over,
Right,
And
for,
Yeah,
I
but I
I
don't-
get it.
But
I'm
your
just
numbers
trying
don't
to-
work for an average, like it doesn't
Just
work.
put it at
for-
150 and then we'll see where it goes from there. Jeez.
Oh,
yeah, the
right,
hockey
I'm just-
game.
I'm trying to make
Over.
math, I'm trying to do math and.
I'm trying to bring reason to the conversation, so we're not just
Based
arbitrarily
on
picking,
something.
based on something, so we can actually show people that we actually.
Well, we
want to do it.
could
That's
give you,
three times.
So we didn't throw a dart at the dartboard and go,
3 times
you
52.
guys move counterclockwise.
Yeah.
Every week.
Clockwise.
Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday.
See, we're supposed to go backwards. And
150 nights. There you go.
I'm comfortable with 150, that's fine.
Dan put it in his.
And I'm the chair, so.
Because. Well, then, do that interface. Divided by 52.
Okay, do we have enough to make a
That's
bylaw?
2.88 on average a week. And I get it doesn't work, it's not every week, that's why it's called an average. Right.
So one of them had a whole section on offenses and penalties, and if you're convicted, it's $25,000 to $50,000, like.
We don't need it because
Then
we're
we
doing
deal
all
with it that way.
fine and.
You get 3 strikes.
And then we pull the license and give it to somebody who would be respectful of having a license.
But that's, and this is regardless, right? Like it's not, oh, one kind of fine and then the next time.
No,
you get
no,
it.
no.
No, it doesn't
In
matter
the-
the offense.
in the fine.
What about the municipal accommodation tax?
Yes, we would have to make a bylaw for that,
Yeah, we'll have to make a bylaw.
and like,
I think we just
Be the
charged
devil's
$1,500 for a,
For a
for a
pro,
license.
so I don't think we need it.
I don't think we need it.
being a devil's
The owner
advocate, you'd
doesn't
have to
pay it,
do
though.
the dinner bell, are we doing
The
campground?
person who
Are we
rents it
doing-
pays it.
Yeah, well, it impacts how much they need to charge.
Yes.
There are regulations on
And
how
it's
to be
something
spent.
Extra that they gotta keep track of and bookkeeping.
Actually, we never talked about that, I think what? The host, advertising host, Airbnb will collect
Yeah.
MAT.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we can actually talk with Airbnb and we can set it up so that all of our bylaws on the Airbnb website.
And you
on the
know that
Vrbo
if there
website.
is a dispute with the township, those corporations will sever with the.
Landowner.
Yeah,
And the tenant
The
too.
licensee.
If the tenant continuously on Airbnb, if the tenant is continuously badly rated,
oh yeah, well, you can say no to
then
it.
Airbnb just is like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if there's a leasing
It's
that,
supposed to like alleviate the cost of having tourists in your municipality.
yeah.
Mhm.
So how much is the,
I think the city of North Bay, I think it's 3.
It's 3 or 4%,
Yeah.
depends on the city, but we
How
can do
does it
3%.
work, sorry? I pay for a place,
So
I
when you
get my
rent, right,
HST and this, and
MAP is put on your
Yes.
bill, the consumer pays it,
then where does that money go?
and then
To the
Airbnb collects it
Yeah.
and sends
Send
us
it
a
back.
check.
Yeah,
Ten cents to
Yeah.
It actually doesn't affect the
So it doesn't
Airbnb
cost
owner.
landowner, no?
You would have to make a bylaw, however, for. the
Yes.
MAP.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay,
oh, now.
I think the max you're allowed to charge.
no, I just gave up.
Percent.
We're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean,
Like 3.
We can't pass
Yeah.
it.
I wanna go back to the,
It is that
Contiguous,
stretchy farm roads, it's a-
Yeah.
I wanna go back to the having 3 in a
I
row.
would think we should, just make it easy, right? To be like,
No, I don't.
Well, that's what I said. and
if
then
we're
she's
facing
like,
150 nights, which is 2.88 nights per week, we could do, what would that be in an accommodation tax of the average 3%, but with 1,500, maybe it's now $2,000 and then you don't have to charge the extra on top.
Right,
Of
so like some of the
but
properties are.
Whatever,
But now the landowners don't have to pay the extra volume.
Mhm.
yeah, it's all relative, right? So now they can charge a little bit more for their.
Yeah,
$500 me as a
Yeah,
consumer,
yeah.
to pay
yeah.
your $100 plus 3% plus.
And maybe we charge
Or
them.
I'm gonna pay you $100 flat fee and I don't have to worry about any of the other stuff, right?
But then the property owner is putting their rate higher than when it doesn't have it, and they can't say, oh, it's just the town that they.
Which is a fair point, which is I'm like,
Mhm. Like, this isn't me, this is.
I think so, and if not,
okay, call adjournment. Before somebody changes their mind.
I wanna go back and revisit. the
Well, I don't know, in 5 minutes, I
Yeah.
think he owns his dinner.
Okay, I'll wrap it up.
the 3 in a row.
Right.
Moved
I
by,
like dinner.
Yeah.
moved by Featherstone.
Hang on, can I go down before we adjourn, cause we get free mail for you.
What about dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
The bylaws,
How many
actually,
dogs?
If
I
I
meeting you.
lived in Toronto and I rented an Airbnb, but I bought 50 dogs,
And
What about
here,
crocodile?
usually your dog has to be leashed at all
Yeah.
times.
dogs.
In the code of conduct.
How many dogs?
Dogs, crocs.
Yeah.
You have to meet the bylaw.
Yeah,
You can't go outside of our animal
Yeah.
control, or responsible pet. one.
We don't have a crocodile bylaw.
What, you're
Yeah.
gonna put one that they have to be on
Yeah.
a leash if you're gonna bring one around.
yep,
Yeah.
they must be on a leash.
On a leash,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. We'll take a picture before we leave,
Yeah, somebody.
but I did write just as much as the
Councilor
kids.
Clark, you ready to go or what?
Yes.
Thank you for. Okay, I didn't have any copy.
No, you did go.
Thank you, Ann.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you,
So the
Nikki.
process is first reading, people have that opportunity to present. We have the opportunity to change it after that if we want, and then it's just second, third reading, and then it's.
Even if it's like policy and council wishes, it could be a first, then second, and then third reading.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it in 3 meetings, you can do it in 2.
Or one, but we'll do it minimum of 2. Yes. Minimum of 2 unless there's a third that is needed, but.
You'll be one
Maybe
delegations.
the dinner bucket.
Oh, let's.
I'm done now. I tried.
Moved by Featherstone, second by Clark, this meeting of the Corporate Services Committee meeting be held on April 11th, 2024, be adopted and circulated. All in favor? What are you looking at your watch for?
I was at 9:55 adjourned. Let's look at it.
next.
Okay, I was just giving you the time. I was getting ready to give you the time.
Moved by Featherstone, second by Corbett, that this meeting be adjourned at,
9:55.
oh,
I was hoping it was gonna change to 9:56.
All in favor? Carried.